All right, everyone, and welcome to the stream. This is the season finale of Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and I am about to undeafen myself on the Discord. So I am here. I am going to be hosting this special season finale of Sharing with Shellshock. We got a lot of people here tonight, with at least two more people who will be running late, but we'll be here. We're just going to make sure everything goes very, very smoothly. So the way everything is going to work is that everybody's going to get a chance to speak. Everybody's going to get their own time to talk about their favorite games of the year, because that's the topic, the best games of 2022. So we're going to be going in really well with this one. We're going to go really hard, going to go really well. And I'm looking forward to talking about all the games that are our favorite games of this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. So, the way we're going to handle everything here is that I'm going to pull one person in each and every time, and what's going to happen is that they'll get to speak because I'm going to go last, but there's going to be other people who are going to go before me. So, everyone in chat, good to see you. And this has been one hell of a year in regards to video games. But regardless, it was definitely a really good year for video games. So right now, I'm just happy to have everybody here, everyone who are guests on the show that are taking part of this. I wish I was able to get everybody, but not everybody was able to make it. But those that were, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that you're able to make it. So, all right. With that in mind, I am going to be picking one person at a time. So, we're going to be starting things off with, I'm going to start off with you, Shad JV. You're going to be the first guest to speak.
Oh, wow, I'm first. Okay.
Yes. Hi, Shad.
Hey there, Shal. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, welcome, dude. So how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing very well. So I'm going to be asking everybody the same thing before we actually start. Since you were on the show twice, remind us what type of content that you do.
Well, I'm a variety streamer, and I focus mostly on Nintendo stuff, but I do some other stuff here and there, and I enjoy doing a lot of collab stuff with the Digital Bonfire.
Yep. That's good. So now let's get to the topic at hand, and we're starting with you. So I want to know just what exactly are your favorite games or best or games that you would consider to be the best games of 2022?
So I've thought a lot about this, and the three I picked aren't necessarily my favorite, because it is really hard for me to narrow it down to three. I can narrow it down to maybe 10, but this year had a lot of great releases.
Mm-hmm.
But the three, so I picked three that out of those that stand out to me. The first one, and the one that released earliest in the year, was Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I was admittedly halfway through the year, but that game, I'm a huge fan of Xenoblade, big JRPG fan, obviously, as I was on here to talk about JRPGs, and so I was very excited for that game, and it was one of the best stories that I've played in a game in years. The gameplay was Xenoblade. It was fun, but it was also not nearly as interactive as some games. But it's and not a lot of menuing, working out strategy in the menus, but the story itself was incredible, and I laughed, I cried, all the emotions. And the music also, I really think Xenoblade deserved the award for best music because it had just some of the most beautiful music that I've heard in a very long time. And then the second game I decided to pick is Bayonetta 3, which came out in fall, and it was another game that I was very hyped and looking forward to this one for a lot longer than Xenoblade, because this was announced quite a while back.
Yeah, the Game Awards back in 2017.
Yeah, so I've been waiting 5 years pretty much. And I've not made it a secret that I'm not huge on action games. There's only a few action game series that I've really gotten into, but Bayonetta was one of them, just because of the sheer absurd comedy of it, the over the top everything, over the top violence, over the top like adult content, just everything being cranked up to 11, but then also just kept with like classy stuff, like the first game having Fly Me to the Moon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really looking forward to the over the top stuff of it, especially after Platinum's more recent Astral Chain was so phenomenal.
Yes,
And
Astral Chain was
so
great.
yeah, it was. And so Bayonetta 3 came, and obviously there were some controversies with the voice actor. We won't get into that now, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I was pretty set on getting the game regardless, because I was really just excited for the game, and I did not want to, like, I wanted to experience it, because I didn't even know if we'd get more Bayonetta, which we are, thankfully. But and as for the game itself, I think it had actually a pretty good story. Some people had complaints about parts of it, but I enjoyed the story. I think there were some parts that were kind of silly, but it was mostly like I felt it was a more cohesive story than the first two games, where there was times I wasn't sure what was going on in the first two. And but the real reason I fell in love with the game is the gameplay itself, and it's actually my game of the year because of the gameplay. Because even for somebody that isn't the biggest action game fan, I just was so like hooked on both just the regular combat, but also all of the like additional stuff they threw into the game to mix it up and shake it up. And it's a game that I've beaten it, but I really much want to go back and dig around and do everything else there's to do in the game. Uh, and then the third game that I picked, and the most recent of them, I was thinking, and I wanted to pick something aside from Nintendo. I spent a lot of time on Nintendo games this year, but there was also a lot of other games I played, and I didn't want to put, even though Nintendo had some of my best experiences this year, I wanted to pick one of my favorites that wasn't Nintendo. And that was actually God of War Ragnarok, which I'm admittedly still ongoing through. I'm probably past the halfway point. I'm maybe like 2/3 of the way at least. I realize it's a game series that some people feel it's a bit handholdy in some ways. It's a bit more cinematic experience. And yeah, it is. It also, though, has really good writing, a really good story, and a lot of comedy. And the first game, I recommend, if you're going to play them in order, because they're story heavy. The original trilogy is kind of irrelevant at this point, but the two more recent ones that take place in Norse mythology, you really need to play in order. And the main reason is admittedly the story and the writing, why I enjoy it, but the gameplay is fun. The combat is both deep and complex, kind of some light RPG, but mostly, once again, kind of action game stuff. Not nearly as like insane as like Bayonetta action, but yeah. And overall, I do not think it should have won the. I think it won Best Music, didn't it? Yeah,
It
and
did, yeah.
yeah, I don't think it was better than Xenoblade in music. The music itself is like your typical Hollywood movie soundtrack, which is good in the background, but it's nothing I'd want to sit and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. But overall, I still do highly recommend it if you have access to the games. I I like I said, I'm still going through it, and so it's kind of an ongoing choice. But I thought about it, and I've put enough time into it that I do feel it is one of my games of the year. It's probably in my top 5, and it's definitely one noteworthy that I felt I wanted to bring up.
All right.
And yeah. So those are the three big ones that I wanted to get out of the way. They're all sequels in a series. Unfortunately, nothing that's a
fine.
new IP, but
That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that. Yeah, those were some really good games that came out this year. So that's practically it. Shad, thank you so much for like
Okay.
sharing your game of the year games, or rather the best games of 2022 for you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so now I am going to pull the next person in that will be speaking. So the next person that is going to get to speak, um, is going to be Silverstone Condor. Silverstone, you're up.
Oh boy, I'm up.
Yep, come on down. You are the
Come on
next
down.
contestant of The Price is Right. Except, nope, wrong show, wrong show. But yeah,
Wrong show.
yep,
Hey, you guys like see me at least. That'd be very very nice. You see me all like blurry and stuff. I'll probably take the blur filter. It looks very very weird actually.
yep. So is that the Discord blur feature for the background?
Yeah, you can like turn on that or a custom background. I wanted to have a nice custom background, but like it looked kind of ugly, so I was like, let me not go for it. So, yeah,
So,
my humble abode,
yep,
which looks a little weirdly colored, but
yeah.
yeah, I guess like best games of 2022, which I feel like I played like a good amount of games this year.
But before we get
Case in
to
point.
that,
Mhm.
remind us like exactly what you do.
Ah, yes, hey, Silver Encounter, who are you, and why are you here? Good questions. I am a streamer who plays multiple games. I play games on Nintendo platforms, PC, all sorts of platforms. If I own them, I want to play them. It doesn't matter if it's PC, Nintendo Switch, hell, even the Ouya if I still want to play that.
And the Steam Deck.
I play and the Steam Deck, of course, which is sitting currently in my lap. I was playing a little bit of Power Wash Simulator while waiting for we're waiting for my turn. So yeah, I play again. It's hard to like describe what I do besides playing. I play a bunch of games. I talk a lot. I do art over on Silver.stream. That is my main thing that I do when I'm here in my humble abode here at Silver's Edge HQ. So yeah, all good.
Yep. All right. Cool. So let's talk about the favorite games of the year. Best games.
Yeah, so there's like obviously like a ton of games I played this year, so it was very hard to kind of narrow it down. So I think I'd stick to really three games that I feel like would be my standouts for this year. There were a lot of games that came out this year that I didn't play, so I do own Bayonetta 3. I have not played it yet. I will play it next year. I guarantee it because I want to make sure I beat it before Origins comes out in March. I did get Splatoon 3, but I still, even though it's a great game, I felt like I want to play the single player, first before I really give it like my proper, full on like I guess like impressions and such. So
Yeah.
Splatoon 3 is hype there, but I feel like these games to me, were very interesting games. Not to say more interesting, but like, they were fantastic.
Yes.
So I guess I'll open things up with I call it the first new game of 2022 that I beat entirely on my Steam Deck. I didn't play this on PC. I played it entirely on this little big freaking platform thingy here. Is Rollerdrome. Rollerdrome is really like one of those like how do you put this? It's one of those games that really just flew under the radar for some people. I remember the game because there was this developer who put out this demo for a Tony Hawk style Max Payne-ish kind of game where you're skating around, you're shooting things. It looked all cool. But what people didn't know is that it got picked up by Roll7, the guys who worked on the Ali series, and it eventually got to be developed into a full game. So the full game is this whole kind of like you remember Running Man, right? Like
Yeah.
that old movie from like the 80s. Like it's kind of like Running Man, but like in the future. You're in this crazy like roller derby kind of like locale where you're meant to survive this competition, and while there's a bunch of like political upheaval in the background and such, you're just competing to win the main prize. And the one thing I love about the game is just it's so fluid. It's one of the games where I can just pick up and just like dive into it for a bit, get some time trials, goals, objectives, stuff like that, and then put it down for later. It was pretty much like the game that I really picked up a lot more on deck than anything, because I could just play it on a train And granted, the game was a bit shorter than I'd hoped, but
Mhm.
I feel like it didn't overstay its welcome. I liked what it did for its story. The story wasn't like overbearing. It was there for you if you wanted to like really like dig into like the background elements. And if you do, the game does kind of reward you for like paying attention for like a lot of like little tidbits there. But
Yeah.
overall, like, you know, if you liked yourself like a lot of Tony Hawk and wanted the game that really imagine, you know, again, Tony Hawk with guns is kind of like a weird concept, but I like when games take things that we know and then just make something out of it, like this brand new, something that we've never seen before. And I feel like that's the theme of my top 3 here, because the next game here is a game that, you know, it might seem like bland on the surface, looks weird, you know, a twin stick shooter where you're not really shooting, it's auto shooting, and you have all these enemies around you you're trying to like take out. Vampire Survivors was a game that I remember the first time I saw it, and I was like, what the hell is this game? You know, like I see it, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's this weird indie game that it's on itch.io, it's probably like free or something like that. And eventually I see it on Steam, and I'm like, okay, what is this game? But why is it so popular? Yada yada yada. Then I see it's $3 in Steam. I think now it's up to $5. I mean, it's still on sale, and everyone's just nonstop talking about it.
Yeah.
And the thing about Vampire Survivors is that it's one of those games that looks very simple on the surface. It's, you know, it's a pixel art game. It seems like, you know, there's like an interesting loop. It's a roguelike. You know, roguelikes are out there. There's tons of them out that come out each year. But with this one, I think what made it such a standout is that it came in, it was cheap, it was easy to understand, and there's like a hidden depth to the game. And then I feel like what also really put the game over for a lot of people was that it was practically the killer app for the Steam Deck that people weren't expecting. People would think, oh, it's gonna be like God of War or Spider-Man, you know, the big AAA games that, you know, just like, hey, we're gonna be able to carry this game around with you and everything. But like, no, I'm here playing Vampire Survivors, you know, every time during my break at work, like during my lunch break, you know, I eat my food, I'm watching whatever on Netflix, and then I'm like, okay, cool, I got like half an hour to kill, let's do a Vampire Survivors run. And that's really how it goes. I can just sink myself into that and have a lot of fun with it. And it's really just surprising how well, you know, it builds upon itself as a roguelike. You know, it's one of those games where like the more you play, the more you understand. And, you know, I feel like for a long time, roguelikes kind of fell off for me. So they were kind of doing maybe the same thing. They had a gimmick that wore out its welcome over time. But with this one, it just kind of just keeps you interested because like there's so many characters, so many weapons. You can evolve the weapons into like these crazy evolution things. You've seen videos of like it like crashing computers and like there's all this crazy spam everywhere. Like if you've seen on my stream recently, like I played it twice in the last 2 weeks on stream. It's so chaotic, but like the game sells and stuff like that. But like when you first started, it doesn't get to that chaos. Like you have to like earn it. You know, like you don't get to be that chaotic. It just becomes such a build up that when you get to the point when you realize that you become practically a god. It's amazing. And I've only put in I think about like I want to say 10 hours. It could be less because like I played it mostly offline, which is why it didn't pop up in my Steam replay for the year. Like otherwise, it would have been like one of my number one games, like top tier games on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I think my number one game was actually Cyberpunk 2077. Believe it or not. But but actually, like the last game here was the game I was anticipating for so long. You know, I was every time there was like a big like conference or whatever, I was like, you know what, I want to hear some more news about it, and it finally came out. Like I think honestly, it came out during the summer. It's something that I've been looking forward to so long because I liked the concept when I first saw it direct. It's a weird card-based first-person shooter speedrunning game. Like, how does that work? And so Neon White came out, and it really just blew my mind because in the beginning, you know, you learn it, you pick it up, it becomes interesting. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, you know, the game's fine." You know, the dialogue was kind of like, you know, a little bit cringeworthy, but I feel like the game really embraced that cringe, if anything.
Yeah.
Again, like Ben Esposito, who's the game's like main developer, they worked on Donut County. Rather than work on a game for like everyone, they wanted to make a game that was for some people. Like they decisively made the game for people who would like grow up and like love this game, you know, no matter how cringe it is with the dialogue. The characters are fun, you know, the scenario itself is interesting. I don't think there's much worth to spoil about the game per se. I mean, you're a so-called demon in heaven, you're trying to like go through these trials, yada yada yada. But the main thing that the game teaches you is that, you know, how do you make a speedrun game for people who maybe don't want to speedrun? And it teaches you like the basics. It teaches you hints. It puts you against like other people with leaderboards and stuff like that. It has a competitive element to it, and there's so much that you really can pick up and learn. Like I remember going back to like a lot of my older runs and seeing like how like my ghost would just like fly through the levels so quickly. And Epic Man is in the chat. Like Epic Man is even here in the actual chat. Epic Man knows exactly what I'm talking about. Where we were practically competing with each other because Epic Man got the game on Switch, and then they got it on Steam to deliberately compete with me. And Epic Man, like, you know this is true. Like, and Epic Man first like took over like the leaderboard because I was like so mad because Epic Man was like destroying everyone on Switch. I was like, okay, Silver's talking too much shit. Let's go over to Steam and like take Silver's thunder. And I actually stopped playing for a bit because I kind of fell off because I was so busy with like my new job and everything. And then I came back to the game. Thankfully, I beat it before TGA came out. TGAs were happening in December to make sure it is like my definitive like game of the year, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, from what I learned about the game, like it really enhanced. It really like dug into like the speedrunning like brain like really like tapped into in the past year, plus like doing like you do something like Rhythm Heaven, like it's not like a traditional speedrunning game. Doing that at GDQ was like definitely nervous as hell, but it's not a fast game. It's like a relaxing game. But with Neon White, I can kind of be like if I just do this run different way, like I can like if I just do this instead, like if I cut this card off here and then like just pop these guys like before I jump off here, like there's like so much strategy that you can like really like build off of, and the game rewards you handily for that. So if you're looking for a game that's like so fast paced and energetic and will encourage you to be better and better and better, Neon White is really that game. And honestly, it's such a great game that I feel like I don't think it fell under the radar, but like for people who maybe thought, oh, the dialogue was kind of cringe, it's not really about that. It's more of like a means to an end. You really want to go in there for the gameplay, and the gameplay is something that you really want to like be there for. And I kind of hope they make a sequel. I hope that they do something with it. There are other games that are kind of like building upon that concept. Friends versus Friends is going out next year, which is a multiplayer PvE, PvP kind of thing, but it's a little bit different. But I think there's like a lot of like room to like maybe build your own levels, whatever. There's like what was like such a great game this year, and I wish more people were like talking about it. Because I know people were talking more about Stray or maybe Vampire Survivors, but Neon White was definitely like a big game this year for sure. So those are my games.
So those are your games. Those are really good games. I still have to play Neon White. Vampire Survivors is a game I want to give it a shot. Like it's cheap. I'll get it on Steam.
It's very, very cheap. It's on phones too. So, don't do it. If you have a phone, you can play it for free. I feel like better played on PC.
Yeah.
And of course, Rollerdrome is like a game that looks kind of crazy, but then it works. It's a pretty dang cool game that people should check out and play.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out Rollerdrome at some point. All right, thank you so much, Silver.
No problem at all. Like time to like hear what all the other games. Thank you guys for having me on for sharing with Shellshock this year. That was really fun too.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad to have you. All right. So now on to the next guest. All right, so the next person that's going to come up and speak their games is going to be Okami Hylia. Okami, you're up. Okami, you there?
Oh, hi. Yeah. If you wanna skip to the next person, I'll be ready in just a second.
Okay, sure, no problem. All right. So Mike, you ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty much good to go. Just give me one moment. Let me just
Okay.
Hopefully this should work. There we go.
All right, cool. All right, let me just set this up. There we go. Welcome, Mike.
Good to be back again there, Shell. Thanks for having me once again.
Yep. So, remind everybody just what you do.
So yeah, if y'all don't know who I am, I'm MMG Mike. I do a lot of Nintendo content, a lot of variety content, a lot of good old stuff with the Digital Bonfire crew, of course. And pretty much.
Yep. So, because I'm always happy to have you on the show, and also to do things with you in general. But now it's time.
Hey, Pete, can I see your shirt for a second?
Oh,
I think I did this on purpose. So we both wearing the same shirt that you got for the holiday party.
Yes, we're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence because one of my games of the year. Now that we're getting into it, this is definitely a really interesting game for year for games, pretty much. But I'd have to say one of the games that I really did enjoy, even though I haven't beaten it yet, was Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kirby was a very interesting platformer this year, like trying to watch Kirby go into a 3D realm and everything, and honestly, how like completely knocked it out of the park with pretty much just all the platforming and just seeing Kirby like transitioning well into 3D. It was like really good to see it like be as good as it was. Like, I really like annoyed myself for not like actually finishing it yet, but I know for a fact I definitely want to finish it soon.
Yeah.
In terms of other games, I'm probably going to just go all over the place, but another one that I know you and me both really enjoyed a lot this year was TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like Shredder's Revenge is definitely like the return to form for beat-em-ups that the TMNT definitely needed for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even remember how long it was that TMNT was even being hyped, but TMNT was at one of those games that I'm really glad that we got to do a couple of playthroughs together, whether it was offline or online. A huge shout out to Johnny Atma, by the way, for also getting a musical part in that game as well, because Johnny Atma actually did the vocals for one of the levels when you're going through the New York skyline, which I thought was pretty badass.
Yeah, and then going straight to Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, no, between that going right to Coney Island, like not that far from me, that was like, really cool to see the turtles going around all of New York. Like, I genuinely hope that they end up doing another game like that soon. Like, maybe the company could bring, like, I think you and me talked about this once or twice, that like I would love to see them do X-Men and all the other companies stuff that they haven't done yet for beat 'em ups. Like, seeing them do a 6-player X-Men game next would be pretty badass also to see.
Oh yeah, totally.
Let's see, in terms of other ones, I mean, before I get to my big game of the year that I really want to talk about, like as an honorable mention, I don't care if it's DLC. I'm putting Mario Kart Deluxe's DLC up there as well, because you know me, being the racing game guy of the group, just seeing the fact that we got custom items in the latest wave of the DLC was long overdue. I feel like, I know the Epic who's in the chat, and I know Maple, all three of us really were thinking about custom items being this thing for like a long ass time, and between that, Maple Treeway, 3DS Rainbow Road, Shroom Ridge, there's a lot of great tracks that came out just on the first 3 waves of DLC. We still have like another 24 tracks left at least.
Yeah, we got 3 more packs with a total of 8 packs, 8 tracks each. So there's 24 left to go.
Nah, it's crazy the fact that we're only halfway done yet. We already got some banger tracks
Already,
like,
yes.
I genuinely am looking forward to bringing a lot more Mario Kart content on my end next year, but that'll be a secret for my end next year, but a little bit of a taste there. But I have to say, in terms of all the games this year, I was worried about my actual game of the year, and I literally just finished it last night, and you were playing some of the music at the beginning of the stream, but
Yeah.
I have to say, my biggest game of the year has to still definitely be Sonic Frontiers, because I don't know about you guys, but Sonic Forces to me, when that came out, I feel like there's always a cycle when it comes to Sonic games. Like, you get hyped up for the Sonic game, it comes out, and then it doesn't end up being as good as it was during the trailers or whatnot. Like, the hype kind of dies out, and I don't know. Just seeing Sonic in an open world type of gameplay, like, my entire time with Sonic Frontiers was nothing but absolutely enjoyable, because just actually seeing Sonic go through Breath of the Wild style, because even though I'm a Nintendo guy, I'm going to be honest, I don't really play all that much Legend of Zelda stuff, so I maybe picked up Breath of the Wild at launch for the Switch, but I barely picked it up. I barely played it, but to me, Sonic Frontiers felt like the Breath of the Wild experience for me that you guys probably got to experience when it came to Breath of the Wild. It's like seeing Sonic just zooming through an open world and solving all these puzzles, like, I think going through all the different open worlds and solving the puzzles was probably my favorite part, because I feel like at least half of the stream time I just enjoyed walking around, finding all the new puzzles, and just running around solving all the puzzles.
Oh yeah.
Even though I will say, even though I know what the cyberspace levels were trying to do, I'm not really a fan of the fact that they basically just took all of the levels that we pretty much played in the past. Like, they were one-to-one ripoffs of Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2, Mastery from Sonic Unleashed. Like, I was able to play most of the cyberspace levels, and I pretty much knew right off the jump what level they were trying to recreate, and I don't know. I kind of hope that for the next game we get more of the open world gameplay and more of what the open world stuff kind of had to offer, and less of the cyberspace stuff, or if they're going to do the cyberspace type thing, maybe keep it open world. Like, the open world part was probably my favorite part, and then that doesn't even mean to be the that doesn't even go against the music also, like Undefeatable, Find Your Flame, which we were playing at the beginning of the stream, and Break Through It All, and of course the credits theme, which I'm not going to spoil, but that one is definitely worth going through the entire game for.
Yes.
But it's just really good seeing Sonic getting back to like an all-time place that was kind of needed to go, because I mean, Sonic, everyone kind of knows that the Sonic franchise has kind of been on and off with where Sonic has gone before, but
Yeah.
I definitely think that this is the right direction that Sonic is going, and I really do hope, like, if we end up if they really want to throw the nostalgic stuff at us, like Chemical Plant and Green Hill and all that other good stuff, I genuinely feel like it would be kind of sick if we had those types of, like, zones, but in an open world style gameplay with some new elements thrown in, and some new type of stuff like they were trying with Sonic Mania. I'd like to see some of the Sonic Mania type worlds being put into this kind of gameplay with these types of puzzles, to be honest, going forward. But between that and also the story building, also with seeing Tails, Knuckles, and Amy not just being the one-note characters, like, oh, Tails is just Sonic's follower, or Amy's just obsessed with Sonic, Knuckles just wants to punch things. Like, you actually felt the character development, and even the new villain, Sage, actually got some really nice development, and I honestly hope that we get a lot of this stuff going forward, too. Like, Ian Flynn is an absolute gem, and I really hope that Ian Flynn ends up being there into the storyline for new Sonic games going forward, because I think that was absolutely necessary.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm really happy about that. I'm just like really happy that Sonic Frontiers hit so many marks, and they did it really well.
Yeah, no, I was genuinely worried, like, during the hypeness of the game, that they didn't really do a good job of marketing it at all, but even though it definitely has its, like, it has its moments where it's, like, kind of
You could blame IGN for that one. They kind of fumbled that one.
Now, even with the marketing, even, like, in-game, some of the stuff isn't perfect, but I definitely think it's a lot better than what we have gotten in the past.
Way better.
But, yeah, other than that, those were pretty much my games of the year for me, pretty much, other than, I mean, I can't really consider the other two games on my list games that came out this year, but honorable mentions also to Valheim and V-Rising, because those two games were a lot of fun exploration world building also.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, like I definitely am looking forward to doing more in Valheim again next year when we do another open world journey for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shell, thanks, of course, for having me as always. I always appreciate you having me on these episodes and, helping you out.
Hey, no problem. I'm happy to have you. And also, as KutieKatelyn says, more like Sonic top tiers.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely consider Frontiers definitely more towards the high end of Sonic games. But,
yeah.
Again, thank you again for joining up, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Mike. All right, so for the next person to come in, the next person that's going to be coming in to speak is going to be KutieKatelyn. Caitlin, you're up.
Oh, hello. It's my turn.
Yes, it is your turn, Caitlin. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Welcome.
So since you've been on the show once before, when we did the Sonic episode, remind everybody, what exactly do you do? Like, what type of content do you do?
I'm a on and off streamer. Next year, I plan to fix that once I debut as a VTuber. But pretty much stream everything, both old, new, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, doesn't matter. I have a little bit of love for everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, sounds good. All right, so now let's talk about the reason that we're all here. Since it's your turn, Caitlin, you are up. So feel free to let us know exactly what are your best games of 2022.
Some of them didn't come out this year. Some of them were re-released in some form. So, but just honorable mentions real quick. Just rapid fire. Kirby Forgotten Land, really fun game. Pac-Man World Repack was pretty dope.
Yeah,
love that one. Shredder's Revenge. It was tight as hell to play through that with you, Vash, and 112.
Yes.
Then Streets of Rage 2. First time I played it was this year. And that was pretty dope. Xenoblade 3 and Elden Ring, both great RPGs. Elden Ring, I didn't even finish. I put like 90 hours into it, and I never finished the story.
So, that's all good.
All right, but my top three, I say top three, but like these are just like three of my favorite of the year. So first one's a bit of an oddball choice. It came to NSO expansion pack this year.
Yeah.
Shining Force 2.
Really?
A Genesis game. I played it as part of like a game club in my personal server.
Yeah.
And basically my entire December was dedicated to playing this 50-hour tactical RPG. Because like, I was just like, yep, I'm just gonna brush this in a couple weeks, right? Well, spoilers, I beat it in like 2 weeks because I kid you not, at least one entire weekend playing it. From like Friday to Sunday, I spent no less than like 20 hours just sinking time into it because I was having such a good time with it.
Yeah.
It's definitely tough, but unlike something like classic Fire Emblem, there's no permadeath or anything. So, and you have the switch, rewind, and save states, so it always makes things a little easier, right?
Right.
And then, but yeah, that was a really good game. I had a lot of fun with it. Didn't even beat it technically. I got to the final boss and I got stonewalled so hard that I just looked up the ending. So that was a bummer, and it wasn't even the first time a Sega RPG did that to me. But my next game, Live Alive, the remake for Switch.
Ooh, yeah.
I had always wanted to play it because Did You Know Gaming did a video on it in like 2018. And I was like, oh man, this game's never gonna come out. Maybe I'll play the fan translation. And I never got around to it. But then they announced the remake and it's like, oh, it has better music. Oh, it has voice acting. Oh, it's just objectively better in every way. And I'm like, yep, gonna play that. And that was my entire life for like 2 weeks straight, was just sinking so much time. And it's a great game.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, it's essentially there are 7 storylines you can pick from. It's like 7 mini RPGs that all have unique twists to like their mechanics and storytelling. And then it all culminates in a really cool like final chapter. So I highly recommend people try it. I know some people are like, I don't know, RPGs, but like trust me, the boss theme alone will, like, when you all right, go play the demo and like just get a taste of what you're in for, because every chapter is so unique and interesting. It's really great. Highly recommend it.
All right.
But my absolute game of the year, without a doubt, was Sonic Frontiers. That was, oh boy, it's not often that like I get hyped for Sonic games. I say this as literal lifetime Sonic fan. My first game of all time was Sonic 1.
Yeah.
Like when I get hyped for a Sonic game, that's because it's going to be something special. Like I have an eye for it. I can tell. Like Forces, I felt nothing. Flaccid, hated it. But Frontiers, every time they showed it, it got better and better and better. And I took 2 days off of work. Like I took time off just to play this game, and I don't regret it one bit. I put like at least 30 hours in my first day of having it on, like, downloaded. The open zone is so great. The story was impeccable. I love the callbacks, and I love they didn't retcon everything, which you'd think would be like, oh, let's work on the stuff that doesn't work. Like, no, they made the stuff that doesn't work in context now, and it's like, it's so much better for it.
Yeah.
But man, Sonic Frontiers was like, I'm just so glad it's doing okay. Like, sales wise, it's one of the best selling in the series already, and I'm so happy because it's paying off, and we're getting so much Sonic now. We had the movie, we had Origins, we had Frontiers, I guess we had Prime,
and we're gonna get a Knuckles show next year.
Oh my god, the fucking Knuckles show! I forget every time.
Yep.
I forget
Next year.
I'm so hyped for it, but yeah, man, Sonic Frontiers hit different. Hashtag Sonic Top Tiers. That my absolute game of the year.
Yes.
Made me cry. Damn it! It made me cry.
Yes. I am so happy for that game in general. So But yeah, those are some really good picks, Caitlin.
Hell yeah! Thank you for having me as always. And
Hey, no problem.
Hey, maybe next year we play something together. Maybe Streets of Rage 3. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, so now, Okami, are you ready? Because you're next.
I think I fixed my capture. I'm just gonna get it up really quick.
Yep.
At least I thought I did. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let me know when it's ready.
Oh, yeah, I fixed it. It's good.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah, sorry, my OBS was giving me struggle bussin'.
All right, so just waiting for the capture, waiting for the...
Oh, it should be up.
All right, it's not up on my end.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, then never mind. I don't want you to focus too long on trying to, get the capture going.
It's fine, it's fine.
Just pretend there's a VTuber here.
It's a screen. Oh, it's a screen share.
Yeah, just pretend.
Oh, you have a screen share up. Okay, yeah. Then give me 1 second.
Sorry.
It's fine. Oh, yeah, because I didn't know it was screen share. I forgot.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. So, hi. I'm Okami. I am also a variety streamer and a friend of the bonfire. But I am also a charity marathon streamer. I'm a member of the Zeldathon team as well as Mini Kit Marathon and Kirbython.
Yes.
So raced for a bunch of charities like St. Jude, Charity Water, Starlight Children's Foundation, like a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
Good peeps.
Right. So, let's talk about the reason why we're all here. The best games of 2022.
Okay. So I will admit my 3 picks are going to be I don't know if niche is the word I want to say. Definitely probably unexpected because it's not the usual probably people will think about. But I will do like very, very quick shout outs to Legends Arceus. I loved Scarlet, but I think Legends Arceus was a bit more polished. I personally enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land, of course, because I don't know if it still tops Return to Dreamland as my favorite, but we'll see. I loved it.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3. And I love it. Big Run is awesome. Just please fix Tricolor Turf War, please.
yeah, fix Tricolor Turf War.
And Ooblets, which is a really nice sort of creature collecting farming sim kind of game that came out of early access this year.
All right.
So I won't say my game of the year just yet. I will say I guess probably my number 3 is going to be Rune Factory 5, actually.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, so I got into the series back on the 3DS with Rune Factory 4. And the thing is, the reason Rune Factory 5 is even on my list at all is because we didn't think, you're going to hear me say this later, we didn't think the game was going to exist at some point. Because I believe it was the developer who went out of business. And the series was kind of in limbo for about, I want to say maybe 10 years, I give or take. But yeah, that was a thing that happened. So nobody ever thought Rune Factory 5 would come back, and it did, which was kind of crazy. And especially the amount I enjoyed Rune Factory 4, I was so ecstatic that it was coming back. I will say I do enjoy Rune Factory 4 more, because one thing I will admit about Rune Factory 5 is that it is shorter compared to 4. Not that you ever really stop playing it, but in terms of a main story and these like sim farming kind of games, and there's dungeon crawling to it and things like that. Eventually you do get to an end story, but you never really, the gameplay doesn't stop. That portion was shorter than 4, so that was kind of like really the only nitpick for me.
Yeah.
But it was a very comforting game. honestly, I loved the characters. I was very torn on who I was gonna marry. Me and one of my friends who was also playing it, we were just kind of like, so have you decided who you want to marry yet?
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, no, I haven't. And it was just like, that's how good the characters were. I was so torn, and I was like, 1 month later, I was like, okay, I picked, but I'm gonna have to make a separate save file for my waifu, because I had to have my husbando save file and my waifu save file.
Yes.
So I had another excuse to go back and play it, honestly. But honestly, it's a really, if you're looking like again for like one of those farming dungeon crawling kind of games that you don't really have to have your brain on for, at 100%, I super recommend it. And the fact that I think they announced that we're getting I don't know if they're ports or remasters, I forget, but I believe one of the older games is coming back out. I think it was 3. I don't quote me on that, but I know one of them is. So the fact the series just went from being essentially on life support to the fact we got a new game and then one of the older games is coming back is kind of amazing to me.
Yeah.
And I have to support the developers and everything, because it is 3. Thank you, Shad. I wasn't 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. My number 2, which I was kind of debating on putting on here because it's still in early access, and I don't know if there's some unspoken rule about putting early access games as your games of the year when they're not technically finished. But I recently got it. I haven't put it down. It's been a struggle to put it down, really. Is Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Oh yeah, that one came out this year. Yeah.
Yes, I've really been enjoying Silver's streams of it, because I usually have that on in the background while I'm playing mine.
Yes.
But like, again, as somebody who grew up on Disney is a huge part of my childhood. I grew up with the movies. I am a theme park addict, although I haven't been there in so hecking long because I'm a homeowner now. Yeah, I joke that Nintendo owns half my soul and Disney owns the other half. Honestly, anybody else, I kind of have to give you an IOU. Honestly.
Yeah.
But that game really, oh my goodness, the fact that you're just thrown into this world and all of your favorite characters are just walking around, and you're basically like, just, hey, come to my valley, let's be neighbors. And the fact that, again, it's like, I think it's personally, I like it better than Animal Crossing New Horizons. That's kind of my addiction.
Okay.
The fact that I can, the amount of customization I can do in my valley.
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck's shop is amazing. Thank you for the selection of thank you for the wonderful selection of furniture from all of these Disney references. And I'm not trying to roast New Horizon. I do enjoy it, and I admit this is me being a Disney adult.
Yep.
Me just screaming. I wind up going through a realm and I'm like, oh, I love you. Please come over here. I get to chat with them every day, give them presents. It's the closest I'm ever getting to Disney World probably in a while, to be honest. But I do, again, there's farming, there's the, making friends with all your villagers, the customization, the clothing options are amazing. My current clothing set is a denim patched Monsters Inc. Jacket, which I love wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And the fact that there's so many characters and they're not done yet. They're still going to be adding characters, and the amount of content in this game is kind of crazy. Between literally just everything you can do in the game, it can be kind of overwhelming, especially if you're trying to do I don't know if it's technically called a battle pass or not, but like you do the Dreamlight duties for the season and you get all this extra stuff. So I really like that. But yeah, like those are so like my first two picks are just very casual. I know during that last Nintendo Direct, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, all these farming sim games." Which I totally get if that's not your cup of tea. I totally get. But for me, I was like, I was in heaven, to be honest. Like sometimes I really just need a break. Sometimes I'm too tired, and these are the kind of games that I play for hours and hours and don't realize how much time has passed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that's been me.
Mm.
My absolute game of the year, and again, this is me being a super fan of the franchise, is actually Digimon Survive.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I will fully admit, Survive is not as good as the Cyber Sleuth games, but I think that's more of the way Cyber Sleuth was done was so beautiful. It felt like a Persona game. And yeah, Digimon Survive is entirely different. It's a visual novel, strategy, kind of like with Fire Emblem battles in between, story beats. So that's the kind of game you should be expecting, and I know a lot of people were complaining about it, but it was all over the marketing.
Yeah.
So totally get if it's not your cup of tea, but I don't think they misled anybody. They tried something different, and I think it did work out. As somebody who's been a longtime Digimon fan, this game specifically was made for older Digimon fans. Not that Digimon has ever shied away from very, very heavy subjects. See Tamers, see Digimon Tamers when I say that, because I've cried before in the franchise. It's not the first time I've cried. But man, you know what? I do like these characters, with the exception of one, but I really, really like the characters. I like the fact the game has multiple endings. There is replayability. However, it is a chunky game, so expect if you want to do all those endings. Yeah, actually, Hito, yeah. His name was very similar. Yes, him. But I've heard down one of the other routes he's better. I don't want to go into spoilers because it's a visual novel. You're going to be getting a lot of story.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very chunky. The only thing I didn't like was if you want to get the most satisfying conclusion, you got to play the game twice. Which I'm not. I was like, okay. But I'm somebody who wants to see all the endings. But if you don't have that much time on your hands, could be a little grind.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and that was another game that was in development hell. Heck. Matt McMuscles did a whole video on that, which I super recommend on
Oh, I still gotta watch that video.
Yeah, because like we didn't know the game would even come out, like because eventually they had to do the game, like they had to scrap the game and redo it. It was that bad. We don't know the full details, but yeah, there was so much silence and everything that Digimon fandom was kind of thinking, oh, the game's just dead.
Yeah.
It did not survive, but it did. But honestly, if you're not a visual novel person, it's not for you. I very much am. I love visual novels and I love Digimon, so it was a good mix. The amount of Digimon in the game is really good, and yeah, I liked the Fire Emblem strategic battles that come into play.
Yeah.
It's not super in depth. I hear it can get harder later, but I need to do my second playthrough. Yes, I love Ace Attorney. I just got into Ace Attorney this year. I played 1 through 3, Apollo Justice, and Ace Attorney Investigations 1 and 2. So I binged all those this year on my channel. I am taking a short break from it, but then eventually I want to get into Great Ace Attorney. But yes, I do love visual novels. Danganronpa. Visual novels are kind of 999, Virtue's Last Reward. I am just a visual novel person, and I love a good story. I'm the type of person that drowns in that, so it's very easy for me to get lost. But Digimon is my game of the year, and they just announced that they have some more projects that are probably going to be coming down the line for in terms of video games for Digimon. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, like I really gotta play Digimon Survive myself, but I also want to go back and play the Cyber Sleuth games in the future. Disney Dreamlight Valley looks really nice. I will say that much. I'll eventually try that out. I'm not sure like when. It's just obviously I have a lot on my plate as it is, but there's just way too many games to play at this point, and I have a big backlog as it is.
No, I'm feeling that. Like this year, my health was just taking such a roller coaster ride. These were the kind of games that I personally just needed, because there were times where I couldn't get out of bed this year, and being able to just turn on a game like Rune Factory 5 or something,
Yeah.
and just kind of not turn off my brain, but obviously it's not Hades. I'm not frantically.
Oh, Hades! I know the struggle.
I finally just played that this year, and I'm not frantically like I'm sweating bullets, like not screaming, but I'm like internally screaming.
I'll probably have an episode on Hades in the future, but I'll figure that out in the future.
Yeah, it was just nice to have a lot of those games this year. I eventually want to get Harvestella, which I have again on my backlog.
Oh yeah, Harvestella. That was also this year too.
Yeah, so this, in terms of somebody who just really loves these casual, farming sim, like games, things like that. It was a really good year for me.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like this year had a lot of great games in general, but so those are all the games you have?
Yeah, and that's the only reason I haven't played Elden Ring is because I'm terrified.
All right.
Like I'm scared.
Well, thank you, Okami.
You're welcome.
All right. So I appreciate everybody that's spoken so far. Now I'm going to figure out who's next. So the next person to speak is going to be Michael McCaw. Michael, you're up. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. So how you doing? I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Sorry. But I still appreciate you being here so far. Yeah, I'm definitely excited just to talk more about 2022 games in general. Just having everybody on overall. So let me know when you're good, Michael. All right, so try again. Hold on one moment. Let me just check something real quick on my end on Discord, because I gotta see something. Yeah, I still can't hear you. I'm sorry, but I cannot hear you. Yeah. I was gonna say, do you have your mic on like a different program, or I'm just trying to figure this out. But yeah, so far everybody had spoken. Like everyone that did get to speak so far have already mentioned which, like, some of their favorite games, and it's a lot of really good choices so far. But I'm hoping everybody's enjoying the podcast here so far. All right, so Michael, let's try this again. Let me see if I can hear you. Alright. I'm just trying to figure this out. Wait.
I figured it out. I figured out what was happening. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. There we go.
No, it turns out I just never hit the start button on my microphone this whole time.
It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine.
Show.
Yes.
Right, you can hear me now? Everything sounds good?
100% crystal clear. Perfect.
Great.
Great to have.
So sorry about that.
Yeah, great to have you on again. So you've been on the show twice. So remind us exactly just what you do.
I'm a streamer and voice actor. I stream on my own channel, Michael McCaw, usually 2 to 4 times a week. I'm a variety streamer. Currently working on retooling some of how my stream is done, but still kind of up in the air. And yeah, I stream variety games. I generally just, stream with friends. I'm usually single player, but my friends will be there. And yeah, and other than that, I'm a amateur voice actor. I submit auditions for smaller projects and such, and whenever I get in it, I give the best performance I can.
Yes. Very good stuff. So now let's talk about the real reason everyone's here. Best games of 2022. So, what you got?
So before I give my top three, I just want to give a bunch of honorable mentions, because I just realized, like, I was trying to go over my head like one or two, and then I realized, like, the list just kept getting bigger. There were so many good games that I played this year, and right off the bat, I want to just give a quick shout out to two games that got ported or remade this year. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe and
Ooh.
Bugsnax. Those both came to modern consoles in like an upgraded format this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I played them for the first time. I love them. I knew what Stanley Parable was about, but it's such a fun meta narrative game, with a very very interesting overarching like implied story to it that never really stays the same from playthrough to playthrough. I
Yes.
absolutely recommend checking it out. Especially if you can, if not on Switch, then on Steam, because that's what it was originally released on.
Yeah.
And Bugsnax, which I believe was, I think it was either PS4 or Xbox exclusive originally. I think it came out on PC as well. That game is really fun. I expected like a kind of like Pokemon-like experience, but it ended up being more kind of open world structured. Not open world, but kind of more open. It was more puzzle based. It felt kind of more like a bug catching game mixed with like Zelda puzzles, and the story was really cute. The characters were very endearing. The voice work was great. Definitely recommend checking that game out. And yeah, some other quick ones that I want to give a shout out to. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were great. If you like traditional Pokemon games and want it in an open world format,
Mm-hmm.
great despite all the glitches. I mean, they're not detracting enough to make it like one of the best mainline Pokemon experiences out there.
Yeah.
And Splatoon 3. I wasn't interested in that for the longest time, and then when the test fire came out, it just pulled me right back in. It's just more Splatoon, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's what we needed when we needed it, because Splatoon 2 has kind of run its course. But yeah, those were all great kind of games that I wouldn't necessarily put in my top three, but I put in the like you should definitely play these category. As for my top three, though, for number three, was it my number three or was it my number two? It was my number three.
Okay.
I switched right before the stream. My number three is another remake, or is another port, but no, not really a port. This is a straight up remake, and it's one that's been mentioned before. In fact, I think all three of these top three have been brought up already. And that was Live Alive HD 2D, as I refer to it. It was just Live Alive Remake.
Yes.
I have kind of a personal experience with Live Alive. Like, I was interested in it for a while, way back when I started streaming in 2016, the first year of streaming. I actually played through the fan translation of the Super Famicom version, and I loved it. I loved the music. I loved the story. It was great. I felt like there were a few aspects of the game that didn't really age well at that point, and they just like didn't make the game super fun. In particular, there was a couple sections that like you really had to either grind or you had to do things with a guide. I would definitely say if anyone's played it and you've played the Twilight of Edo Japan chapter, that one's not the easiest one to do flawlessly. You may need a guide for that, even in the remake. That being said, when the remake itself fixes a lot of the problems with it. It didn't fix all of them, but what it did was it fixed it enough that it feels like those problems that are still there aren't really an issue anymore.
Yeah.
And that everything kind of flows a lot better. There's a couple of neat little like extra things in the game for people who have played it before. There's a lot of the voice work in the English version is great. The redone music is excellent. Yoko Shimomura, continues to prove that she's like the absolute queen of JRPG soundtracks.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just a game that I was like super hyped for when it got announced. When it got announced that Direct, I smashed my keyboard on Twitter really hard. If you could see you could go back, you actually see the tweet where I'm like, Live Alive Remake, because I like mistyped it. I was typing it so hard.
Yes. All right. So what's next?
So for my second game of the year, again, one that's already been mentioned, but Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a Kirby game. There was no way it was gonna be bad. And it's just amazing how flawlessly Kirby like, translated into 3D. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and obviously they took their time getting there, but it just felt like such a smooth, seamless transition into 3D. Kirby, you know, the physics, the movement, the speed, it still all felt like side-scrolling Kirby. The way they work the hit system so that like if an enemy's not technically touching you, but it looks like you hit them, the game still registers it as a hit.
Yeah.
It makes it feel very tight and very just very good. The impact just feels very good. The sound effects, the impact effects, all very good. And I mean, it was a decent challenge too. It may be a little easier than most recent Kirby's, especially towards the post game. It was definitely a bit on the easier side, but it was still done extremely well. The music was great. Graphically, it looked really nice. It like took advantage of the Switch's unique functions to, you know, at least not, you know, there's a lot of modern games on the Switch now that aren't looking too hot. Kirby's definitely not one of those.
Yeah.
It definitely kept up. The environments were really cool. The characters were really neat. Elflin was such a cute little guy. I loved him. Some of the bosses too. Silly Dillo is easily my favorite new Kirby character. But yeah, it was just a really fun story. You know, it has that typical like Kirby escalation at the end where things get a little more serious and a little crazy. But I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It felt so natural, and it's going to be so hard to go back to 2D Kirby when Return to Dreamland comes out. Next year. I haven't played it though, so I'm looking forward to that. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is an excellent game.
Agreed.
And I would say it gets its spot on the list, not for necessarily being the best game I've played this year, but for being probably the biggest step forward that Kirby could take at this point while still maintaining its its feel, and that's why it's number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, that concept is also going to carry into my number 1 game as well. My number 1 game for the year, and this is one I've seen a lot of people kind of list up there, but also maybe edge out to the other game in the series that came out this year. It's Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yes.
I loved Scarlet and Violet. I've played it a ton. I'm looking forward to the inevitable DLC because they've left a lot open in that game. I've made 2 whole teams to tackle post-game stuff. It's easily the best mainline Pokemon game, or best like traditional Pokemon game taken to a next level. But I think Pokemon Legends Arceus for me kind of reaches a new high because it's a complete, well, not 100% complete, but it's like a 85% reinventing of the Pokemon series. The way that it's, you know, it's a lot more real time. Stats work a little differently, so battles aren't always as cut and dry. There's a bit more difficulty because some people just send out multiple Pokemon at the same time, or a battle might just have multiple Pokemon. The fact that you don't have to battle each one to catch them, you could just sneak up on them. The fact that it just feels so much more like fluid, as opposed to like a mainline Pokemon game where you're always entering a battle to catch them. This, you're kind of just going along. You can just catch something you can avoid. If you touch a Pokemon, you don't automatically get into a battle with them, which is kind of a criticism I have about Scarlet and Violet. It's that, like, I've gotten into situations in that game where, like, I'll get into a battle, I'll run away, and there'll be another Pokemon standing behind me, so I immediately get into another battle.
Yeah.
That's kind of something that I wasn't a huge fan of, and when I went back and checked my Arceus stream footage, I was like, oh, that doesn't happen in that game. Wow, why didn't they keep that in Scarlet and Violet? But it's...
Oh, no.
It's such a great game. Like, I know that some of the environments kind of samey. Like, it's very, you know, open field mountains. Not a ton of landmarks around the game. There's just a couple of like boss arenas and stuff. But I think it was a very huge step in the right direction for Pokemon.
It really is.
Like many people, I would say if they take the parts of this game that worked and combined it with like the general aesthetic and feel of Scarlet and Violet, we would have something close to what would probably be the best Pokemon game ever, at least in my opinion. Also, I'll give Arceus a special shout out for its story too, because its story was definitely more of a center stage thing than a lot of recent Pokemon games. Like even Scarlet and Violet, you know, you had the individual stories. You have the story that plays together once you've finished all of them to close it out, and they were good. But Arceus, it really felt like you were kind of more involved with it the entire time, and that like you had a greater impact on it, mostly because like you're the one being sent out to do all these tasks, because people know that like you're like an oddity in the storyline, and just the way it culminates, especially once you get to the end of the game. Because something interesting about Arceus is that the end of the story isn't really the end of the story. Like the actual story continues past the credits.
Yeah.
And when you get up to those like last few story beats, it's just crazy, like how it escalates. Like it may not be the biggest twists, the biggest reveals in the world, but like it's still a very enjoyable story, and it's especially enjoyable if you like Pokemon a lot and know like the story behind the Sinnoh region in the Diamond and Pearl games, because then you get those little Easter eggs that connect the past to the present, and it's just a really great time. And yeah, I agree. I agree with what Silverstone's saying in chat. It proves that you could do more stories within a region, even if it's like a different timeline with it. And I know people want to see like a future Pokemon game. I would love to just see more like varied takes on other regions, even if it's like maybe just a different time periods, future, past, whatever. I know it's not. This wasn't everyone's like favorite game of the year, but for me personally, I think it earns its top spot just because it got a lot of playtime out of me, got a lot of admiration out of me, and it just does so much to like change up the Pokemon formula while trying to keep it a Pokemon game. Like there's been spin-offs that like, you know, they're still kind of act like Pokemon Ranger. Never really played those games, but I know that they like kind of keep like the action element, but like it's not really a Pokemon like mainline game.
Yeah.
This I feel was as close as they came to keeping it mainline while spinning it off. Aside from maybe Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, but those games, you know, they went their one way, but Arceus went the other way, thankfully, and it paid off because it's just an absolutely amazing experience.
Indeed, it did. Yes, like Arceus, whatever it is you want to call it, such a fantastic game. And I feel like that is like a big step forward, and I'm really hoping, and since it did well, I would like to see more of them in the future.
And I know people are kind of upset it didn't get much DLC. It got kind of like one update, and then it was done. I feel like that was kind of always the case. A lot of people were like, well, why isn't Game Freak just making another update for it? I think that they kind of had this in mind to be like a stepping stone going into Scarlet, which is kind of weird because in a lot of ways Scarlet feels like it's a step back. But I think that people who have been enjoying Scarlet and Violet will probably have a lot more to look forward to next year. I think there's going to be at least one or two big waves of DLC for this game from the looks of it. But yeah. I mean, hopefully we see more Arceus influence in the future.
Yep.
But I think in terms of my top 3 games, that's pretty much it. I think I've pretty much shouted out everything I wanted to. I know Digimon Survive came up just a little while ago. I would also like to give a little bit of a shout out to that game. I'm not having the best time with it so far, but I definitely can acknowledge what the game is trying to do, and I definitely want to put more time into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, if I just go through all the games I played this year, I'd be here for like another hour. So
it's all good because there's a lot of good games.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for coming in as always.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So now the next person, just Discord just acting strange for whatever reason. Let me just do that. All right. Cool. All right. So, the next person that's going to come up to speak is going to be Odd Hour. So, Odd Hour, you are next. Welcome.
Hello. Let me turn on my camera. Ugh. Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So, you've been on the show once before, which was about platformers. So, now let's talk about before we talk about the games. Let's tell us about you. Talk about you real quick. What you do?
Of course. Thank you. I'm Odd Hour. I'm a New York-based variety streamer. I'm not New York City-based anymore. I moved this year. But I'm a variety streamer. I do a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I stream on Twitch a bunch. I make like a really fun series of in-depth food reviews that I'm really proud of, even though they're very, very shoddy. Just a little joke to make me happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do a bunch of stuff, and I'm always down to play games with people and talk about video games at any length.
All right. So, yeah, because you do a lot of really cool stuff, and I know you got some sponsorships earlier this year as well, which I'm very proud of you for that.
Thank you very much. Big shout out to Stream Elements for that one. I'm nowhere near a big boy enough to get that kind of stuff on my own.
Yeah. so let's talk about the reason why we're all here. Best games of 2022. What you got?
What do I got? So first of all, I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget. But big shout out to Sonic Frontiers, which I haven't finished yet, but I really, really liked. Big shout out to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, same thing, and Stray, which I'm surprised nobody's even mentioned Stray yet tonight, or maybe they have. But Stray was a really, really fun game, just running around as a cat, doing stuff, scratching up posts, and pressing a button to meow. It was like playing Luigi's Mansion, where you just stream out Mario. I love Stray. Anyway, those are just games that I played that I enjoyed, but I never really finished. One of the games on this list I did play, but I still haven't finished. I've only played it once, but from just that playthrough, just that small amount of gameplay, I really liked it. God of War Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
I've been anticipating that game for so long, and just that this isn't a spoiler at this point. Just that first fight with Thor and like the way it's set up and like the build up to it and the tension and whatnot. Like I already know the rest of the game is going to be a masterpiece. I don't have to finish it. Like, I am so excited to play that game more once I have time to do it. It's one of those games where it's difficult to stream because I just want to sit and enjoy the world and think about it and, like, ponder on it and things like that. Like, it's very hard to be entertaining when I'm enjoying a game of that high a caliber, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So, yeah, God of War Ragnarok, definitely up there. And I'm going to total curveball. No one's even mentioned anything like this. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, I don't play a ton of Call of Duty. I don't. I have been away from it from a long time, but the last one I played and enjoyed was Modern Warfare 1, which I think is the best modern Call of Duty. I think the gameplay was super solid. I'm really happy that Warzone held that engine for such a significant amount of time. Yeah. I have not played Warzone 2. I'm not talking about Warzone 2. I'm talking strictly at just the Modern Warfare 2, the game, which is the sequel that came out this year, not the one in 2009, which is also great, don't get me wrong. But I really like the gameplay, I like the guns, I'm a big fan of skill-based matchmaking. I know that's like a hot take, but I think that's like an important part of the game to like balance yourself with people that are at your skill level so that you can either improve or not improve as a result. Because it's really frustrating to go into a game and get your ass beat. And it's also really sad when you go into a game and you just clean house. Like, part of it is all like a big challenge. So yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for me. And my absolute number one game this year, like not even close if I'm being completely honest with myself. Similar to Michael McCaw, it was Pokemon Legends Arceus. I love that game so much. Top to bottom, if I really sat here for like 3 hours, I couldn't tell you one flaw I found with that game. And there are flaws, I'm sure there are. I just don't care because of how good the rest of the game is. You know what I mean? Like the first thing for me that made it like out of its own league compared to everything else, because like making it so that you have to complete the Pokedex as a story point as opposed to an optional thing in a Pokemon game, I think Pokemon was missing that. Like, every other game you get like hey, like the Lucky Charm or whatever to get like, or the Shiny Charm, excuse me. Like, yeah, that was cool, but it wasn't like necessary. If you're not shiny hunting, then who really cares, right? But making it a plot point, like a story point, like the reason you are tossed into this world and your only instruction upon being tossed into this world, that's your only motivation for the entire game, is so necessary. It's what Pokemon really needed. Like a desire to go out and catch them all, as opposed to like, yeah, I could, but really I'm just gonna like beat the Elite Four, I'm gonna become champion, and I'm gonna grind whatever Pokemon I want to grind. Yeah. My competitive team and all that other stuff. Like, Legends Arceus did such a good job presenting its story, presenting its characters. It took a long time to get started in the beginning, which is like maybe the only thing I can like nitpick about. But it was such a departure from what you expect from a Pokemon game that I think that long intro was necessary. Yes. I think it was important for you to be tossed into this kind of blindsided comparatively if you're a seasoned Pokemon person like I am. Like, if you've played it since, I don't know, like 2003 was the first Pokemon game I probably played. Mm-hmm. I really like that game. It made shiny hunting fun with like raids, which carried over into Scarlet Violet, which just speaks to like how good of a feature that is in my opinion. It's like I would much rather shiny hunt in Legends Arceus than any other game. And I've done a lot of shiny hunting in my day. Like I would so much rather pull up Legends Arceus to shiny hunt because it feels fun. Like tracking Pokemon and trying to catch them and like planning around it is it's so good. And someone said it earlier, like it feels like Scarlet and Violet is a step back from that. But it's still you need to be able to find some middle ground between like a typical Pokemon game and this Pokemon game.
Yes.
And I think Scarlet does a good job of leading in that direction. Scarlet and Violet, I have Scarlet. I'm looking at Scarlet, which is why I said Scarlet. But Scarlet and Violet are a good step in melding those two realms of like. I think Legends Arceus is the perfect Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Like I really Omega Ruby is my favorite in the main series. Like if every game from now on was a copy of Legends Arceus, the same way you could argue that every Pokemon game is the same.
Yeah.
Sorry, I ran out of breath on that one.
It's all good.
If you did that, I would not complain. If Pokemon Legends Celebi, Rayquaza, Jirachi were all just copies with different regions and different mons to catch, I would not complain. I would die a very happy Pokemon fan.
All right. Yeah, those are some. Wait, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say those are my top three.
All right. Yeah, those are some really good picks. Thank you so much for coming in, Odd Hour.
Thank you for having me on this one and the early one to talk about platforms. It was a lot of fun.
All right, no problem. I hope to have you on again in the future.
I would love to be on in the future. Take care.
All right. So for the next person to come in, the next person that's going to be speaking is Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben, you're next. Mr. Ben, you're there? Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to actually be next.
That's all good.
So,
yeah, like I don't know what's going on with Discord on my end, but like the camera is just acting up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm turning my camera on, but it's not firing up for whatever reason. Let me see if I can't fix that. But as I'm in the process of trying to do that, it's because I see. Give me a second here. That should.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Because it was it had my capture card listed as my camera for whatever reason. I don't know why it defaulted to that of all things.
Yeah.
But it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
PFP, yeah.
Yep.
I love the derpy nightmare mode.
Yeah. But yeah, good to see you. So you've been on this show. You've actually been on the show the most out of everybody, like 3 episodes.
Really?
Yes, you have. So before we go into the games, remind everybody what exactly do you do?
So I'm a variety streamer. I say variety, mostly Pokemon, Mario, Nintendo stuff. I stream mainly on Sundays. I do other consoles as well, mainly Sony PlayStation. But it's mostly just Nintendo stuff that I normally do.
Yeah. Alright. Sounds good. Alright, so let's talk about the games of 2022. Best games of 2022. What do you got?
So pretty much my list is going to be a lot similar to what has already been mentioned. In no particular order, Legends Arceus, Scarlet Violet, and Splatoon 3.
Alright. So what is it about Legends Arceus you like?
So again, this is kind of like points that were already brought up, but a lot of the stuff that I love about Legends Arceus is kind of how much it breaks the norm from an original Pokemon game, or from a standard Pokemon game, I should say.
Yeah.
You're basically thrown into you've essentially been isekai'd, essentially.
Yes.
Into what is this, like ancient Sinnoh? I say ancient. It's more like old time Sinnoh.
Yeah.
Feudal Sinnoh. That's the word I'm thinking of. Thank you so much, Chad. Feudal Sinnoh. Yeah, isekai never dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're basically thrown into feudal Sinnoh. You're given a task to seek out all Pokemon, and waking up in another Sinnoh after God gave you a magic phone.
Yes.
That is pretty much hitting the nail on the head. That is totally on the nose.
Yes.
But yeah, you're basically thrown in with a magic phone, a vague direction to seek out all Pokemon, and that's pretty much your lot. You're basically forced to go out and effectively. Well, I would say forage, because one of the things that I loved about Legends Arceus, and I'm actually kind of surprised that no one's brought this up yet. My favorite thing about Legends Arceus has been the crafting system. Just going around, I have spent so many hours not so much focusing on Pokemon to catch, but just finding random shit on the ground.
Yes.
And just crafting stuff on the bench. It basically like Minecraft and Pokemon, only without the actual mining part.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Legends Arceus is just a really, really great game overall. So number 2 was Splatoon. No, sorry, not Splatoon. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, right?
Scarlet and Violet, yes. And in fact, another thing that I'm kind of surprised that no one's mentioned. My main reason why Scarlet, or not really Scarlet, I've played Violet version, I didn't play Scarlet. But my main reason why Violet was one of my top picks of 2020 was, I will get that Violet has had its flaws, unlike, I mean, Legend Arceus does have a couple flaws too, but my main gripe about Violet was it did have a couple of performance issues. Yeah, it was probably like the only Pokemon game I've ever played that's actually crashed on me more than once.
I think it happened to me once, honestly. Like, I think the reason is just like, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think that it might have been just a random thing, but it only happened once, and it was like, when I was grinding, when I was just doing a little bit of grinding and trying to find some stuff. That's really what it was. But
yeah, my main thing that I love about Violet was the storyline. The fact that for the first time ever, we've had complete non-linearity in a Pokemon game, which was something that we should have had since fucking Gen 6.
Yeah.
At least. Goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, like just going anywhere you want, really.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the non-linearity is somewhat of a lie, but I mean, just the fact that we've had an otherwise complete open world game, that, I mean, there are some aspects that the open world becomes a little bit more open to you the more that you follow down the Titan storyline. But the fact is that not only do we have one storyline, I mean, yeah, most storylines for mainline generation games are for Pokemon is, okay, you get your Pokemon, you go to the gyms, you beat them in, you go to the Pokemon League, you wreck their shit, you become champion, and that's basically your lot. The only other option you've got is completing the Pokedex.
Of course.
And that's mainly usually kind of like an afterthought.
All right.
But here, you're given that gym challenge kind of has the standard thing, but then you've got 2 other storylines that are otherwise at least kind of unrelated. You've got the whole mess with Team Star that you got to investigate.
Yes.
And then there's the whole Titan Pokemon issue that you're also looking into.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to go into more detail on that, but that it would be going into spoiler territory, so I'm not going to go into that detail as much as I want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, most Pokemon has 2 storylines where you can't do them whenever you want, and that's kind of the thing with this, is because you have those 3 storylines. You can do them at your leisure. You can go down one branch of the storyline and then turn around and go off and do something else, or you can just otherwise ignore the storylines entirely. Just go around and just shiny hunt for whatever you want.
Yep. Go ahead.
It's just, my main thing though is I love the storyline, specifically with Arven and his motivation for finding the Titan Pokemon. If you've not played that storyline, I suggest you look in on that, because oh damn, it is fucking heart-rending. I
Yeah.
wouldn't really say heart-rending, more like heart-tugging. But then, once everything's all said and done, there's like a final storyline which all three of them kind of converge.
Yeah.
And that right there at the very end is just a sudden twist that is like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
And it is something that Pokemon has not done before. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to go into detail on that. But it is something that Pokemon generally doesn't do. And I am all for it. And I'm kind of hoping we see more of that in the future.
I hope so too. That would be fantastic if they brought that back.
Gen 9 has kind of... I wouldn't have said that it's supplanted Gen 5 as my favorite overall story, but it is definitely up there with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my main reasons why I love Scarlet and Violet that much. The performance issues kind of bring it down a little bit. The graphics issues kind of a little lacking, especially compared to Legends Arceus. And even Legends Arceus had kind of like one of those... a few minor things that just seemed a little off. If you go into one of the areas where you see like the flying Gyarados around the lake, it's really funny that it's a model when it's up close, but like the further it gets away, it just suddenly just transforms into like a 2D sprite.
It kind of does,
You
yeah.
can obviously see that.
Yeah. Like there have been some games where it's like that, and then when you get closer, they actually are in full motion. It's so weird, but yeah.
I just find it hysterical, and
I love it.
It's even better in Scarlet Violet when you could see that happening to just random ass people in town.
Yeah, like I've seen that too, even Pokemon in general. But I haven't seen a lot of it. But what I did see, it's there. Like, yeah, but yeah. So what about Splatoon 3? Since that's your number one.
Well, like I said, I don't actually have these in any specific order. All of these were just kind of just out on the top three, but I don't have a specific order for any of these. Splatoon 3 was one of my favorites, mainly because, and this is kind of, I'm going to say that the TMNT Shredder's Revenge is kind of a good, it's kind of up there. It would have been a number 4 if this had been like a top 5.
Yeah.
And it and Splatoon 3 are kind of up there for the same reasons. The fact that it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
The fact that I could hop on and join in with friends and just basically have a fun time of it. Whether we're wrecking Salmonids or wrecking each other on turf wars, or if we want to try and maybe take a hand in doing a ranked mode.
Yep.
One of my favorite things is just being able to get in there and just mix it up with some friends. I'm absolutely looking forward to Splatfest. I'm definitely looking forward to the changes that they're going to be making for the tricolor battles. I am so pumped to finally be on defending team for tricolor.
Yes.
With how they're going to be doing. I am absolutely going to be hashtag Team Sweet on that as well.
Team Sweet. Team Sweet.
So,
yes.
Definitely looking forward to that. Big Run was definitely something I was really looking forward to. To my understanding, we were originally supposed to have that back in
October,
but for whatever reason, what happened was that they didn't have it fully hashed out. They didn't have it fully ready to go, so they just kind of delayed it until earlier this month.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's also the single-player storyline, which kind of brings back a little bit of a reference from the second game, which, again, going into spoiler territory, I ain't going to go into detail on that. But Final Boss was something I kind of didn't expect.
Yeah, it's absolutely, like, something I did not expect either. I won't say what it is either for anyone that hasn't got there yet, but I will say, if anyone hasn't got there yet and is going to play the single-player story mode and wants to get there, you're going to be in for an amazing time. That's all I'm going to say.
The only detraction I have on Splatoon 3 was when you did beat the story mode, you basically had a sort of a Champions Road level after that was available to you, and I spent more time than I would like to admit on that.
I actually haven't done that yet.
It is the first section can be kind of difficult, especially how many times you have to go through it. The second one, not so bad. Or actually, no, the third one's not so bad. Second part can be kind of tricky, especially if you're not good on ink rail ones. I'm only saying this now. That might be a bit of a spoiler because there is an ink rail section in there.
All right.
But I just want to give you a heads up on that.
Okay.
That one is kind of tricky.
Yep. All right. So, anything else?
Not really. Can't really think of much of anything else at this point. No.
All right. So those are some really good picks. And I really did enjoy Splatoon 3. I think it's definitely a great multiplayer game this year. I do need to play more of it. I just been mostly playing single player games after a while, but I am looking forward to Splatfest when that happens, which I think is next week.
Yes, it's going to be, to my understanding, it's going to
next Friday.
I want to say that it's going to be starting up. The sneak preview starting up tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be from like next Friday through Sunday is
All
when
right.
it's going to be being held.
Yeah, I can't wait to pick my team, and then I'm probably just gonna have to get some training ready before the Splatfest. But yeah, Ben, thank you so much for coming in again, as always.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I love being here, man.
Hey, no problem, dude. All right, so now I'm gonna pick the next person. So the next person that is going to be on is going to be I'm going to pick Hito Retro Gaming as the next person to be called up. So Hito, are you there? Are you ready? Hito, are you ready?
What's up? How's it going? Who ate the fish? Who ate the fish?
Good to see you, Mr. Bear Boy.
All right. Is everything good? Am I freezing? Am I good? Can anyone hear me? Am I dying on the inside? Probably, but can you hear me though?
You're good. It's just for me on my end, not yours, but on my end, like the camera catches up, but you're good now. You're 100% good. It's good to have you. It's good to have you on.
How's it going? So
you've been on this show twice, on the Toonami episode and then again on the Pokemon episode back in November. So before we get into the games, let's talk about you. What exactly do you do?
I feel like I'm being Bianca Del Rio'd for a second. Hold on. I do. No, because it's the famous lines like, what do you do professionally? Quickly. And then just dead silence. I am a bear that plays video games like crazy, and I love my affinity for retro gaming as well. So I've been reliving some classics. However, I am currently on hiatus till a new PC kicks in next year. So,
I did see that, and you will get that new PC, and it will kick a lot of ass.
Which, by the way, I still do things on YouTube. So if you want to check out all of the old podcasts that I work on, because I'm Hito Retro Gaming, who runs the Retrograde, which our friend here has also been on my podcast as well.
Hi.
For beat 'em ups and classic Nickelodeon, which, by the way, he was the very first guest along with Marzi the Martian.
Yes.
Who did our thing with it.
Yeah, Marcy the Martian was originally going to be here, but she ended up not feeling well. So get well soon, Marcy. If you're listening, if you're watching, get well soon. We love you.
8-bit love to you.
Yep. So now let's get on to the real reason why we're all here. So best games of 2022. What you got?
All right, so let's start with a first and foremost on honorary game, at least. I kind of fell in love with Sonic Frontiers. I haven't finished it yet. So that's what I'm saying. It's an honorary mention to what I'm doing. Because I'm enjoying it currently, but yeah, it's a big one for me so far.
Yeah, Sonic Frontiers is great.
It really did kick in. And like I said, I always say this as a joke, but sometimes it feels like it's not a joke. Sega always cares about the music than the gameplay half the time. I'm just... Sega spends money on the soundtrack over the gameplay, but this time they're like, "Oh, we learned our lesson. The gameplay has to be solid."
And it really is more than solid. I love it. I love it.
So, my third rated game, is Bear and Breakfast. That came out this year, and I have not. But it's an indie game. For those of you who know, you're a bear who is actually running a bed and breakfast for many people. The whole point of the game is to basically have more humans come into these very abandoned spots, and we're making motels out of everything. Which, by the way, we are making hotels out of shacks and abandoned places in the forest.
Yeah.
They still come out great though. I, being the bear that I want, we want their trash. We want their trash. Being the freaking gremlins that we are, we want their trash. And the only way we're going to get any of their crap and their trash coming into the woods is they come here and actually, stay in hotels made out of toilet shacks and old restaurants and probably old shack houses and cabins.
Yeah.
But it's a really good game. I would not the humans themselves. I mean, technically speaking, they come in there and throw their trash in my beautiful, beautiful homes. You know how much trash is there? Okay. Some woman threw something in the bathroom, and I will never, ever, ever forgive her for this. And she gave us a 3-star rating, and I'm like, I clean now. I clean. Must be 5 stars. I clean.
Yes.
I didn't like that 3-star rating. Can we put that up to a 4 or at least a 5? Thank you. Just I'm like, okay, Karen. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, she's like, it was not clean enough, even though I threw the apple core on the floor.
Yep.
My number 2, and I'm only going to choose one Pokemon game out of the group. Ironically enough, as much as I'm enjoying Scarlet and Violet, I have to say Legends Arceus really was the better game out of the two. And I have to find myself agreeing with a friend of mine who is currently still replaying the game over playing Violet right now. As much as I enjoy Scarlet's glitches and making fun of everything that happens, Legends Arceus I felt was more serious, and it really sold me on running away from a Pokemon's attacks. I actually felt like I was in the Pokemon world.
Yeah.
Which is very important, because I think having that whole entire thing of, oh, this is a Pokemon world with mythical creatures that are very dangerous as well. I liked the danger aspect to the game. We didn't have to add a strong or agile style to the moves, but I really do like the thing that the Pokemon actually will kill you. Pokemon, in the wild, to this day, I feel like they just stand there and wait for the turn. That's not realistic enough. So where Arceus came in, where it was more realistic enough, that really, really did make it immersive, and I enjoyed the game.
Oh, yeah.
Which I really hope in the future for Arceus, they decide to make the past Cantonian Pokemon, the past Johtonian Pokemon, past Hoenn Pokemon, past Unnovan Pokemon, basically the roots of most of our Pokemon society. And yes, I'm speaking as the person who was in the Pokemon podcast with you. I will keep saying this. We need past Pokemon, including past Paldean, because we have a lot of interesting Pokedex entries for Scarlet and Violet, and now that we've seen Scarlet basically do the past of Pokemon, Paradox Pokemon, I would like to see those in fruition.
Oh yeah, I would actually like to see where they go with that. Yeah.
And going off of Shad and Mr. Ben, like I said, seeing past Paldean Pokemon, we already saw that. That's the Paradox Pokemon in Scarlet, but I would like to see it more in depth. There's probably more.
Way more.
Mr. Ben saying, is it bad that I really hope that we could explore some of the really old Sinnoh myths? Yeah, I would want to visit the Sinnoh myths, because the whole thing about Gen 4 was that they went into the past a lot when it came to their mythos. And what frustrates me is the fact that with BD and SP coming out, we could have gone further into that mythos.
And they didn't really do it with those games.
Exactly. The most that we've gotten into the mythos was most of the Pokemon from Sinnoh was in that whole situation, because that was the whole point of Legends Arceus. It was going into the Sinnoh mythos.
Yeah.
But I also now want to go into the mythos of Hoenn. Hoenn has a really rich mythos with the Reggies and also the continental legendaries themselves.
Yeah.
I want to go into the past of Kanto and Johto, as we've seen like the legendary beasts bringing forth the birds, and the same thing with the legendary birds. That would be great. I would like to see somewhat of the past for Unova, because we have the legendary beast. We have all the legendary dragons such as Zekrom and Reshiram, along with Kyurem, where they go into the past as well. Hell, seeing a past Kalos would be perfect, because remember, we had AZ who was 3,000 years old.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that war. Or better yet, that whole thing right there. These are really good things to look at. And then not to mention the time-splitting headache that is Alola. I love Alola, but they go into the past as well. Past Alola will be great.
Yeah. I like to see exactly just where these games would actually go if they were to do like the past games. But I also wonder, what if they were to also dive deep into like the future? Like if they were to come up with a new storyline in the future of any of the regions, probably not Sinnoh, because we've already seen the past. I want to see the future for something they haven't done yet as well. It could be very interesting.
See, now that's just it though. I think if anything, the future is basically our newer games that come into play. But I also want to focus on the past, because they've given us so much on past lore. At this point, like the future, they could make any shit up. That's the thing, because it's Pokemon. They can make anything up.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to focus on the mythos that has been giving us. You know what I mean? Like, I want the mythos of Pokemon that has been completely like given to us. It's been shared with us. It's been completely given to us in these ways. Pokemon as a market, Game Freak specifically as a market, they made something when they went into Arceus, and they opened a gate to Pokemon mythos. If you're worried about business opportunity and business and making more money, Game Freak, you already made something powerful with Legends Arceus. I'd say keep exploring it with the other things.
Yes, that would actually be amazing if they were to actually do that.
I definitely will give a whole bunch of like props to that. That was a huge thing for me.
Yep. So,
and
go ahead. Sorry, just stretching.
Oh, no problem. Like that was a big deal for me when it came down to certain games going into that category. It's like, okay, now we can actually go into the past of Pokemon, since it's such a huge mythos now.
Yes.
Like take the wheel and go further with it.
Yep.
I'm gonna add my second place honorary mention, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Yes.
That was an homage to all the beautiful cabinets we've had on the games, and it really was like the big deal for me to get into that. And honestly, that's the game I played the most multiplayer with everybody. I've played it with you, I've played it with Matt, I've played it with basically everyone.
Yeah.
Like, we've all played it at some point. I think I've played it with Mike and CTK as well.
Yep.
I've played it with Calcos, I believe, who was like shredding it with Shredder. We've played it way too often. I've played it with 112. It was really good.
It's so good, yeah.
And I needed to beat him up to actually come out and do a thing that wasn't, we gotta save the damsel in distress. It was something new. The big thing that me and Waffles actually have talked about when it came to most of our beat 'em ups. I think we had this beat 'em up talk as well with A-League when we did the thing. The usual thing that I want to change up with beat 'em ups is everyone is saving the girl, and that's it. The damsel in distress. We have to save her. Castle Crashers is guilty of that. Scott Pilgrim is guilty of that.
Double Dragon.
Double Dragon is guilty of that. I think there was another one called Bad Dudes was guilty of that. There's a whole bunch of games. Castle Crashers is guilty of that.
Yes.
It's like I want more things that's doing it, and when it's just as kicking ass as everyone else. Exactly, but I want it to be like a big overlying problem that everyone has to solve. Like if we had a Mario beat 'em up, and the story was we got to save Princess Peach from Bowser again, even though we're seen capable that Princess Peach is able to kick an ass or two herself, and she's not a character in the game to actually do that. That's disappointing to me. It's like we've seen her roast Bowser every now and then. We gotta save Rosalita from Bowser. No, Rosalita can fight too. Let her pick up her Star Child and throw it at Bowser. I don't care. Let it happen.
Yeah.
but I want that difference, you know?
Exactly, yeah. But what would be your number one game?
My number one brought me back into the series full force, which was Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yes.
I've talked about this game on a daily, and it's because of the fact that I didn't stream it. I played it with Waffles as like a co-op thing, and to this joke, I still hate to say it. The game is always all about Kirby and never about the other player that goes into it, which is always a thing. I would like a game to be a little bit more. If you're gonna have a co-op mode, give it the co-op feel as well. Like, give it the rules that you would give for co-op that you would for single player. I played a co-op with Waffles. We played literally every time we had the chance. It was a beautiful game. It really did introduce me to the series. Again, like it reintroduced me back in. Because now I started like Kirby marathoning a whole bunch of games that I haven't touched. Like, I haven't played the RoboPlanet game. I haven't played Mass Attack. And I have Mass Attack, and I didn't touch it. I didn't play a few Kirby games in the past year. Star Allies was the last game I played, which it was okay, but it was not great.
Yeah, it was a decent game, but I felt it could have been a lot more.
Like Forbidden Lands did not hold my hand. That's something that I enjoyed with Forbidden Lands.
Yeah.
Star Allies was great, but it was holding my hand through the game.
Yes.
And it could have been a lot greater than what it was. I enjoyed Star Allies a lot because it reintroduced us back to old characters, which I would like to see Forbidden Lands at some point bring those characters forward, because all we got was our Bandana D, which I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
We got Bandana D again. I was happy to have our Speary Boy again, but I think the reason why Star Allies was a weaker title was because it was incomplete.
And it now has everything.
Like, now you could pick up the whole complete Star Allies thing, but Forgotten Lands really did make me feel like it was an adventure. However, it still falls into the same premise of what Kirby games do. I wanted something a little bit different, but it was great for me. Like, mind you, it was the pinnacle of polarity for me when it comes to a game. The game that I usually put on my top spot has to have polarity. I have to have things that I liked about it and things I didn't like about it. That way I could have that beautiful version of going back and forth. Like, I like this part of the game. However, this game could have improved. A game that has both of those aspects is a game that I can literally say hit the top for me.
Yeah.
I like polarity in my games because there's always a discussion for it instead of saying, well, this game is trash and this is all it will ever be.
Yeah.
And I can't have those conversations with people who are straightforward to immediately trashing a game.
Right. But you're right. Like, the thing with Kirby, like, in the Forgotten Land, like, this game was definitely, like, because, like, the thing was, this game was, like, a huge step up, and I'm glad you enjoyed the game.
But please make co-op great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Kirby's great, but make the co-op greater than what it is. Then follow the Kirby leader, because I swear to God, the ongoing joke playing with Waffles and Kirby was his ongoing, like, oh, so it's all about you, right? Yeah, fuck me, the Waddle Dee. But you know what? It's all about you, right? It's all about Kirby. It's all about the pink puffball. And I'm like, okay, I could get how that would be annoying for the person playing co-op with you. Because, the second Kirby moves, the second Kirby goes into a frame out of frame, everybody follows along with it. We want to have like a co-op game that had its thing. Like, they could take some notes from It Takes Two. If you're gonna have a co-op, give it the same love that you would for It Takes Two. If you're gonna add that stuff, it's gonna be great. You know what I mean? Like, add the extra touch for co-op as you would for the single player. Because the second they have that extra touch for the co-op, I think that will make a really good Kirby game. Because now you have made a rule set version for the single player, which is very important, but now you have a somewhat rule set for the co-op where it makes it even greater.
All right. So those are your games of 2022.
Yep. So my third game, as I said before, was Bear and Breakfast.
Yes.
Very fun indie game. Please buy it. It's $20 on the Switch and $20 on Steam.
Yeah.
If you can afford it, like I said, you'll have fun with the humor.
Okay.
Including excited bear noises.
All right, sounds good.
My number 2 was Legends Arceus. Again, I love Scarlet, I love Violet, but Arceus really did put in that finer detail.
All right.
And then my number 1 is Kirby and the Forbidden Land. Like I said, really a step up for Star Allies. I'm happy it won the award that it deserved at the Game Awards, but it could also work on making a separate thing for the co-op.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for coming in, Hito. Always happy to have you on.
8-bit love to all of ya. Check me out on the YouTubes and the TikToks.
Yep. All right. So now for the next person. All right. So the next person that's going to be on is going to be Zenspath. Zenspath, you are up. It's your turn. Zenspath, you there?
Yeah, what? I'm sorry, I was asleep. What?
What's going on, dude?
How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm glad to have you on once again. So before we get to the actual games,
yes,
let's talk about you real quick. What exactly do you do?
Well, you can find me. I stream on occasion, very rarely. I've actually streamed recently, though, playing King Arthur's World. So I've been kind of getting back into just playing around with oddball games people don't really remember much about. But you can also find me hosting the Zenspath 4-Button podcast, wherever you guys listen to your podcast. You can find it there.
Yes.
And, yeah, just playing games, collecting, and as you can see from the mess behind me, rebuilding rooms.
Yep. Rebuilding the room. Sounds
Hopefully
good.
by the next time you see this, there will actually be drywall on that back wall.
Yeah, that'll be great. It's fine. It's fine. So
I've been working on it for a while. So
yep. So you've been on the show before, the Nintendo Power Memories, which was a great episode that we did. I'm glad we got to do that.
That cost me a lot of money because next time I found some, I bought a bunch more.
Yeah, like having both you and Mantle on, that was actually fun talking about Nintendo Power.
I love that. Yeah,
yes.
that's great.
So let's talk about the real reason why we're here. Best games of 2022. What you got?
Well, all right. I know everyone's pretty much talked about this already. I'm just gonna kind of cover it briefly. But Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that one. Like I've played a bunch of Scarlet. I've really gotten into that one, but something felt a little bit better with the mechanics of being able to just kind of sneak around to catch the Pokemon, interact with them there on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like each of those would have been. If they just combined those two, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I think it would have been great.
All right.
Technical limitations aside, I had no problems with either one of them, but just, being able to bring out the Pokemon, have them at their different size scales, things like that. Just those little details made it great.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on from that, another one, which I don't know the age of everyone else here, but I just turned 43 last week. So I am the absolute perfect age for when Ninja Turtles originally came out.
Well, first of all, before anything, happy birthday again.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, .mu knocked that out of the park.
Yes, they did.
Absolute just a follow-up to Turtles in Time, bringing back the original voice cast from the cartoon. You know, Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, Rob Paulson, Townsend Coleman.
Yes.
Hearing them again has been absolutely fantastic. So many references everywhere. I'm thinking back to toys that I had and just all kinds of stuff. The soundtrack on that was way more eclectic than I thought it would have been, with more people coming into it, which was a surprise, to the point I ended up buying the vinyl.
Ooh.
We have the double vinyl set at the house, playing that on our record player, and it's still fantastic to hear. And I know that's one that's been played a lot, and at some point I would love to actually play it with you. I've been playing it on Xbox since it came out, and I just got my physical Switch version in because it got held back with the record. So I'm got to play through that and level up everything all over again.
Yeah.
But the biggest part of that is I had friends come in from town. First time they'd been able to visit with all the stuff with COVID and everything. And getting the four of us to sit down and play through the entire arcade mode in one run together in one spot was just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
It's truly a revival of the old arcade style. So, yeah, that game is great.
Oh, it absolutely is. I love it.
But my top pick, the one I've actually chosen for my game of the year for this year, is one for both technical as well as personal reasons, and that would be Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Ah, okay.
Just from the laughter it induced from all the ridiculous scenarios, Mouthful Mode being the most dumbest, fantastic thing they could have done.
Yes.
Down to, you know, I think I've told you about before, my daughter's absolute obsession with Kirby. So when I got this, I got her a copy the same day.
Oh.
And by complete coincidence, you know, she's special needs, she's playing through it, and people talk about the difficulty for how this game is.
Yeah.
But you can make it more difficult for yourself as you turn on certain things and as you're running through it, and she can play it how she wanted to. We actually coincidentally finished it on the same night without even trying to do anything with that.
Yeah.
So as soon as I beat it, she came in telling me like, "Oh, I beat the game," and I was like, "Okay, that's a coincidence." But you know, I know co-op has been an issue with some people with this one, but the way it worked out for us actually kind of made it better, because I would let her use Kirby running around to do a lot of this stuff, while I would use Waddle Dee as kind of a backup to help get around for things. And that control over it let her play more with me on that. But just to give you an idea of how much we kind of adore the Kirby stuff, this is a 3D print we've been working on, which I'll be doing the paint job on, of him on the little car. So we have a lot of Kirby in this house.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah. That's I hope they actually release, this is another one with a good soundtrack that kind of stuck in our heads, that if we can get a physical copy of it, I wouldn't mind getting one of those. I don't think they're going to release a record, but the CD'd be nice.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that figure looks great. I like how it looks.
Yeah, my friend was working on this. It's resin printing.
Ooh.
So it still comes apart into its individual pieces because I've got to finish the sanding and adding some stuff and painting it, but
yeah,
she doesn't know about that yet. She'll be quite happy when she gets that done.
All right. Sounds good.
But yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of covered most of these. Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
No, yeah, that's good. I was gonna say, like, those are some really good picks.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's nothing, extravagant. This year's been really busy with a lot of stuff, so I haven't actually picked up a lot of the newer games that have come out. I still haven't got my hands on God of War. That's on my list. My copy of Stray just came in, so after this will be my first time starting it.
Yeah, I still gotta play Stray.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I know it's not that long, but hopefully I'll get through it on my vacation.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, so those are your 3 games.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for coming through as always. I hope to have you on again in the future episode.
Yeah, I still need to get you on our show as well.
Yeah, totally. We'll definitely talk about that later on. But anyway, you take care.
All right. You have a good night. I'm off to make dinner.
All right. You take care, dude.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So the next person to come in and talk about their games is going to be Homecoming. Homecoming, you are up.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi, Homecoming. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hello.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you too.
All right, so you've been on this show once before, where we were talking about arcade games with Sohn and with Mr. Ben. So it's good to have you back. So remind everybody in this world just what do you do?
Well, everyone, very nice to see all of you who I haven't met before. Very nice to see all of you again who I have seen before. And I do quite a few things. I am a playwright. I have written 46 plays in the past 5 years. I have 7 active creative projects, including a couple books and movies in the works, as well as more scripts and collaborations. I have streamed, and I will be returning to streaming in the near future, but my big projects is that in January I will be launching a YouTube channel, and in late spring, early summer of next year I will be launching a website that will be a blog, a podcast, and the YouTube channel all under one roof, because I have done blogging and podcasting for quite a few years as well.
All right.
So
very good. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about the real reason why we're all here. The best games of 2022. So tell us what you got.
Well, I have a couple honorable mentions. I would like to give an honorable mention to Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, because that game was a very, very pleasant surprise. The animation's beautiful. The music is a little hit and miss for me. It's kind of atmospheric, but it is very, very fun to play. I enjoy all of the characters. One of my other honorable mentions would have to go to the Cowabunga collection, because the Cowabunga collection was nothing short of amazing. I'm so glad to have that in one place. Klonoa was really awesome, and just so many great games. And then a recent honorable mention would be River City Girls 2, because that was also it's so new that I can't form an opinion on it. And then my big honorable mention is Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game has changed the way I look at Pokemon games going forward. But now it's time to talk about the real deals, the top 3.
Let's go.
And I have them listed, and number 3 is Shredder's Revenge. This game did not disappoint. From T. Lopes' soundtrack to the gameplay, the online multiplayer was a little less to be desired at times, but I have played this with friends, I have played this with YouTubers, I've played this with fellow streamers. I hope to play with you in the very near future, Shell. I think that would be a really fun time. I am an April main. Of course, I'm also a Mikey main, because I like annoying the people I care about by going, "Party, dude," every like 3 seconds.
Yes.
Just doing the party dude taunt is just, it gives me life. And Shredder's Revenge feels like a game that could have a modern arcade cabinet. So much so that there's an arcade mode.
And they even added an update.
Indeed. And I love it. It feels so great. I hope other franchises get the love that Shredder's Revenge got. I sat down, I have 2 copies of it. I have it on PlayStation and on Switch, because I had to have it on the go. I had to have it on a Nintendo console, because you can play Turtles on anything. And if anyone here has Steam or anything that they can play Turtles on for Cowabunga Collection and Shredder's Revenge, I highly recommend it. But there's something special about playing Turtles on the Nintendo console that feels inherently nostalgic, like playing Super Nintendo Turtles in Time, that I can't really, at least for me, in my own personal experience. And so Shredder's Revenge really made me very happy playing it with friends, family. It's just one of those games that I can pop in it, and who knows, I might even play it tonight, because I'm kind of in the mood to play it now.
Yes.
But next up is one that has not made it on this list, and I don't think it will make it on this list. I'm dropping a mobile game on here, and I think you know what mobile game it is, Shell.
Is it Marvel Snap?
It is Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is the biggest surprise hit of the year. This is a game that I have dumped time into. I have bought battle passes for. It is a really fun card game if you want to play it on Steam. It's on Steam and it's on mobile, and the practices are way less gotcha, and there are still some practices in there. They want you to pay $50 for a pack of cards, and I'm like, no. But in the end of the day, though, a lot of the cards you can get just by playing the game, just by grinding. And Marvel Snap. Caitlin, you're not wrong. It sounds like that, or like a Snapple flavor, like branded towards kids, that has like the character as like the cap head that you sip out of, that we all remember. But Marvel Snap is a card game where you assemble and build your deck. You try to get the most points and capture the most zones in 6 turns, sometimes 7, but most times 6.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of fun. Been playing it with a lot of friends. They're making lobbies soon, so we can't wait. And I haven't felt this hyped about a card game since like OG Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, and playing it with friends. And
Yes.
I really enjoy Marvel Snap. I didn't expect to love it as much as I do, but it is a fantastic time. It is nothing short of great. Marvel Snap is worth your time. It's at least worth a try. It is free.
Yep. I did try it. It's really fun.
Yeah, you tried it. Yay.
I did, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Marvel. It's one of those games I actually like to play at night. Like when I'm either sitting with friends or I'm wanting to unwind, but I don't want to like pick up Hyrule Warriors or Wind Waker or something new. I like to just kind of open up my phone and play Snap for a little while listening to music, and it's very, very relaxing, kind of like how some guests have talked about, like Disney Dreamlight Valley and games like that kind of just help you decompress, and that's what Marvel Snap does it for me. But my number one is a franchise that has been with me since childhood. Mario is my second favorite franchise. I've loved Mario since I was a kid. Mario World is one of the first games I ever had. But a cartridge that was nestled next to Mario often was Kirby Superstar, and my favorite game of this year was Kirby in the Forgotten Land.
Very nice.
Kirby has been my favorite franchise for a long time. I even have the Kirby Robobot Nendroid, the stuffed animals, the amiibo line, even these imported figurines from Japan where it's like a little glass bottle and it like replicates a game inside each one. I've loved Kirby for a long time, and seeing him transition to 3D makes me optimistic for the future of Kirby. It reminds me of how excited I was when Triple Deluxe came out on the 3DS, because Triple Deluxe paved the way for Planet Robobot, which is one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Forgotten Land is going to pave the way for some very good 3D Kirby games, and I'm very excited for Returns to Dreamland DX. I'm glad that game is getting off of the Wii, especially because it was at the tail end of the Wii's lifespan, so a lot of people didn't pick it up. A lot of people overlooked it, and I'm glad that game is getting a second chance. But Forgotten Land, the presentation is fantastic, the music is amazing, the gameplay is great. Kirby has a gun now, and we should all be afraid, and I hope they bring the gun back.
Yes.
The gun was one of my favorite power-ups. I loved just in the system that they introduced, I hope they bring back. Leveling up power-ups is so smart.
Yes.
It adds so much versatility to the power-ups that I think is really cool. Like, one of my absolute favorites with the gun is like upgrading it to dual pistol and beyond. And it's like, you feel it, but you still don't feel overpowered, because even though it's a cozy ride all the way through, it's a blast. And also, shout outs to the best power up, which is upgraded sleep, where Kirby pulls out a full on bed and just gets in it. Like,
yes.
But yeah, those are my games of the year, and being on your show was fantastic as always. I cannot wait to come back in the future on the future seasons because
definitely.
You're doing a great job here on Twitch and with the show Shell.
Thank you.
You're making a great community and you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. For you. Yes, I'll do the best I can. Thank you for coming along. Those are some great picks, and I can't wait to have you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. So, next person on the list that will be joining for sharing with Shellshock for this show is going to be the Nostalgic Alchemist. Jeremy, the Nostalgic Alchemist. Your turn.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're good.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Shellshock. How are you? It's been a while.
Yep. And this time you actually have a backdrop. It's actually a pretty cool backdrop, too.
Yeah, well, I switched from my office, which is now my newborn daughter's room, so now I'm in the basement.
Yes.
Studio space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, remind us exactly what content you do before we get started on the games.
Well, actually, I'm an entertainer, so I like to separate the entertainment from content creation because we're all entertainers. So, being an entertainer here on the internet, my name is Jeremy. I am the Nostalgia Alchemist, and I am always here for whenever you remember why. My mission has actually changed tenfold since I started with my older brand, which I unfortunately can't mention, but the mission now is that we are bridging generational gaps through personal and societal nostalgia. So instead of gatekeeping, we try to glance back so we can focus forward.
Yes.
So you can find me anywhere by just typing in the Nostalgia Alchemist, and I show up, and I hope that I am able to entertain you. And as I've said before, I am always here for whenever you remember why.
All right. So let's talk about the best games of 2022. What do you got?
Sure. So you're asking a very interesting question of everybody. You're asking the best, but I think that is an extremely difficult question to answer. So I think I can only give what my favorites were that were released in 2022.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to do tonight. So my honorable mention tonight is going to be Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers was excellent. I think that when I was going through the game and seeing all the different zones, it kind of became monotonous to me, but what I liked about it is that it did do a lot of great callbacks, and if that map, the general map, was the main game instead of kind of going into those little zones as if they were shrines a la Breath of the Wild, I probably would have had a better time really figuring out all of the different speed mechanics of Sonic. I enjoyed how much fun I got out of it, but I really feel like they could have just picked up the map space just a little bit more and make it a little bit more vast, because Sonic got to go fast.
Yes.
So if you've got a map that's the size of Breath of the Wild, you got to make it just a little bit bigger, because if you're Sonic, you're going to want to go from one space to the other, and people are going to really hack the speed out of this game, and I'm sure they already have. I haven't seen footage personally, but I definitely want to see more of that. That would be really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So third game, I guess they're kind of in no order, but I want to put in an honorable mention for Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah.
So for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and for my next two entries, 2.5 in a way, for my next two entries, they're centered upon my children, specifically my 5-year-old son. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was the first game that I ever purchased that I didn't play before my son. He played it before me, so I was able to watch him enjoy a brand new Kirby game.
Nice.
That was such a joy in my heart, and my year has been extremely busy, which is why I've been on a short hiatus. My daughter was born in May, so being a dad of two, my first year of doing it is no.
Yes.
But anyway, I digress. But watching my son play through Kirby and the Forgotten Land was such a joy for me. Oh yes. Oh sure, no problem. Was such a joy for me, and I feel that the personal connection that I have with Kirby, having first played it when Kirby's Dream Land came out in 1992, when I was 6 turning 7 that year, to see him be 5 and to explore the first fully realized 3D environment in a Kirby game was so special to me. It was like a rebirth of a rebirth. It's the culmination of everything that they've been putting into the franchise for 30 years. And it's a beautiful thing to realize, being gamers ourselves when we were children, and to see our children do that just the same. So yes, Kirby in the Forgotten Land definitely has one of my top spots of the year. My next spot is a tie between the two Ninja Turtles releases. I wanted to talk about the Cowabunga collection first. Considering that all of those games have already been released, I think that we need to talk about Digital Eclipse, which is actually a foreshadowing to my number one for the year. Digital Eclipse did something really wonderful with Cowabunga collection. They have the ability to present these collections in a way that is befitting of not just nostalgia, but also to cater to younger generations who want to learn more about the games and to learn about the franchise, and not just seeing it monotonously through apps on their parents' phone or on the internet. Like, they're able to interactively gain access to this history, which actually alluded me to having more respect for the NES version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles than I ever had before. Is the game good? Not necessarily, but seeing it on paper and seeing what their vision was truly for that game is astounding. Like, if you go into the special features of that game and you look at what their whole plot and plan was for this game, the story and the way that they wanted to convey this story was so wonderful, and it was so experimental in a way at the time that they were just throwing all this stuff in, and it just kind of got lost in the execution, unfortunately, with the limitations of the NES at the time of its release. But yeah, Cowabunga Collection was such a joy to play, and to be able to play the two arcade games at home was awesome, which now brings me to Shredder's Revenge. The only way I played Shredder's Revenge was with my joysticks, and I had my son playing next to me. The day after my daughter was born in May, I took my son to a place that we have here locally by me called Yestercades. It's you go in and you pay for the hours to play all of the arcade cabinets that you want, free play, but you're paying for $25 for a full day pass. So I had these wonderful free hour strips that I got from both my folks for my birthday and for his birthday. So we would go in, and what's the first thing he wanted to do? Play Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
So playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, not only at home with my son next to me, which is, of course, how I feel co-op games just should be, just in the room, which is why the Nintendo Switch is created as it is. But again, I digress. Having the joysticks, two of them played side by side next to each other, it was like, this is exactly what Dot Move intended. They intended this to happen.
Yeah.
And now that we have all of these wonderful, beautiful functions coming into arcade mode, we can just kick back, relax, and chug down some sprites and just have a great time.
Oh yeah,
Ninja Turtles. And every time I say Heroes in a Half Shell, he always will call across the room Turtle Power.
Yeah, exactly. So
yep.
So that's everything for you?
Not necessarily. My number one game.
Oh.
This is going to be a game that no one mentioned yet.
Oh,
no
okay.
one mentioned this one yet. So my number one game. I don't know if I'm going to get any slack for this or whatever, but I'm going to shell shock you, pun completely intended. Atari 50, the Anniversary Collection. So I was never a very huge fan of Atari until this came out. The way that they present the museum, again, shout outs to Digital Eclipse for just knocking it out of the freaking park this year. Atari 50 presented Atari's history in a museum-esque way, and each of the eras or each of the different subject matters that you go through has the games inserted in the museum collection. So as you're watching videos and looking at comics and reading pamphlets and advertisements and planning stages and graphing paper, you're seeing the games pop up and you're able to play them in sequence. And I gained such a bigger respect for what Atari's mark was on the video game industry pre-83 crash, and even after. I mean, I've never really played any Lynx or Jaguar games, and those were included in this collection.
Yeah.
So I was able to play a lot of these games for the first time, and not only that, they have reimagined games as well. So you're able to play a bit of a souped or amped up version of some of their biggest hits. Like they mixed Lunar Lander and what are the other vector games or whatever they had? They mixed about 3 of those together and made this one massive, almost Star Fox-esque game. Super Breakout, they amped up and souped up. They did it with Haunted House. They really went all out with this anniversary collection, and after playing it, I have so much more of an affinity for Atari. I'm a Nintendo person anyway, as you can obviously see, but yeah, that just blew me away.
Yeah.
So those are definitely my games of the year.
Yeah, like, yeah, because I actually thought that Shredder's Revenge was the one, but I forgot that you had another one. You had Atari. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was so much fun this year playing with my son and having my daughter almost steal my controller every day. It was a great year. Busy year, but a great year, and I can't wait to come back. And Shellshock, thanks for having me on during Halloween. That was so much fun. I definitely want to come back on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to have you on the show before and as well as now, and I hope to have you on in the future.
Yeah, and have a good night to everybody, and to you, I gotta definitely go to bed.
All right, you take care, dude.
All right, take care of yourselves and each other, everybody.
Yep. All right, bye. All right, so the next person that's going to come on here to talk about their games next is going to be Moulin Maple. Maple, you are up. All right, so Maple, are you ready?
Yep, hold on a second. Let me just get my camera on. Okay.
All right, cool. So, Maple, welcome. You've been on the show before for the kart racing games episode with MMG Mike and the Epic Man, who will be on soon. But but Maple, it's good to have you on the show once again.
Yeah, no, Shell, thank you so much for having me again. Just shout out to thank you for having me on for the Kart Racers episode. That was so much fun, just kind of to talk about like so many racing games. I love racing games on my channel.
Yeah.
And by the way, quick shout out Diddy Kong Racing, excellent kart racer.
Oh yeah, totally.
But yeah, no. Over on my channel, we do a lot of variety games. Just like a lot of variety streaming, just playing games on Nintendo, Xbox, PC, you name it. And one thing that I usually like to do over on my channel, I usually like to host these things every month called Kart Fests. Basically kind of like Splatoon's Splat Fests, where we kind of have like 2 different themes go at it. Different themes like Coke versus Pepsi, Kit Kat versus
Twix.
And yeah, like some holiday themed ones. Like we had Elf versus Home Alone for Best Christmas Movie one year, which was really fun.
We did, yeah. You did do that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, just like really looking forward to what the new year brings for my channel and just everybody else in 2023. And yeah, just thanks for having me.
And no problem. Like in KartFest is going to be celebrating its 4-year anniversary next year.
Right? Yeah, no, it's gonna be 4 years. Like, damn, I started this up in March of 2019.
Yes.
The very first one that we did was Cats versus Dogs.
Yes, Cats versus Dogs. I remember that one.
Yeah. So that one was a really fun one.
And KutieKatelyn in the chat, she suggested Diddy Kong Racing versus Mario Kart 64. You know what? That should actually be a Kart Fest.
I would love to do that as a Kart Fest. You know, if they ever bring in a Diddy Kong Racing for like N64 on Switch, like that would be the perfect time to do that. Like I would throw hands for Diddy Kong Racing.
Yes. All right. But we could talk about Diddy Kong Racing all we want, but let's talk about best games of 2022. What you got?
Of course. Okay, so to be honest, I haven't played a whole lot of new games in 2022. There are a few though, and I do want to throw in a couple of games if it's okay. Just that I played this year that were special that didn't come out this year, but I won't go like too much time on those. So
Sure.
I'll just do like a few shout outs here and there. So first off, just some games that were special to me this year that didn't come out this year. I gotta just shout out Sayonara Wild Hearts. Like, that game was such a trip. Just like from the moment you dive into like the first song with that cover of Claire de Lune, like that just sucked me in right away. Just like kind of like the story of just kind of like overcoming heartbreak and discovering yourself. Just like it was such a wonderful game, and I highly recommend it. And then another game that didn't come out this year but was really special, Valheim, is just such a fun time. I had such a blast with it with MMG Mike, Silverstone Condor, Kalkos, and Zykrul. Really just like how the entire world is always just new every time you start up a game. The combat is really nice. Like, a lot of the building mechanics are really nice. And yeah, no, just like I'm really looking forward to giving the game another go next year. But then going into games that did come out this year, but I didn't play a whole lot of. Just really quick fire, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I've only gotten through like the first world so far, but like from what I've played, it's been so much fun. Like, all the different abilities are really just fun to play around with. The music is amazing, and I can't wait to just play more of it. Just Mouthful mode is just. It's so goofy, but it's just so much fun.
Yeah, Mouthful mode, yeah.
V Rising, another game that I did co-op with MMG Mike, Silver, Kalkos, Zykrul, and Cyberkai. That one was really fun. Just the combat was amazing. Like, a lot of the different abilities that you could unlock in that game just made the game just like it just kind of kept the game fresh with like how you can approach like different enemies in the world. And yeah, no, like it was so much fun. The only problem was just it's a little rough around the edges with multiplayer, like getting to group up with friends, and unfortunately I experienced a game-breaking bug that kind of forced our playthrough short.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually the main reason why I can't put V Rising in the top 3. So,
yeah.
Then I don't even actually. I think I have it on Game Pass, but I played it one time and it was so much fun. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Like, I got to play that over at Mike's place when we had that hangout like earlier this year, and that game was just so much fun. Just like with all the different mechanics, just like killing people up. The combat was amazing. The music was phenomenal.
Yes.
And I would love to join you guys for another playthrough of that at some point soon. Like,
yeah.
Really such a treat. And then just like the last little shout out before we move on to the big things. It's not a new game, but I mean, like Mike was saying earlier, just like Wave 3 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just completely changes the landscape of the game. Just like, you have the custom items, which has been a long time coming, and like I've already been like trying to like experiment with like different item loadouts and custom setups. And just like it's a whole new ballpark now, and just like some of the courses that they introduced with the Mario Kart Tour courses have just been amazing. I'm so glad we finally get to play these now through the Booster Pass course.
Yeah.
Okay, but then so for my favorite games of 2022, I only have 2 for this one.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that I'm going to talk about is Splatoon 3.
Yes.
That game was so much fun to play. The story mode is phenomenal. I love the back and forth between Callie and Marie. They're both just like such wonderful characters that just they just flow so well into each other with like their like so many of their one-liners and everything. And like the new characters with Deep Cut, like they're what's the word? Just like the way that they just interact with each other is just like so cute at times. Just like Shiver's kind of like cool, calm, and collected. Fry's kind of like in your face, just like always excited and just big man like A.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, just like I love how I love the idea of like the tricolor turf war. I'm just hoping that they can kind of refine it a little bit, because I do feel like it's a little too one-sided against the defending team at times. I mean, I'm glad that the last Splatfest that we saw, the winning team at the first half still ended up winning this time. Like the previous one, I'm so glad that happened. So it just shows that it's possible for the defending team to still win the Splatfest. They absolutely swept. Like
They
that was great to see, and I'm so happy for all the big man players out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some gripes though that I have with the game. Like just like one of the big things is just like I kind of wish that like the maps were a little less linear. Just like I feel like with some of the maps in the earlier games, like Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, the maps were a little more open and gave a little more room for flanking and for players who aren't, for some players who might not be as confident in like their mechanics for killing other players. Like you could use those flanking options just to kind of get around the enemy team and just ink up their side of the base without really having to shoot the other team.
Yeah.
But now I feel like some of the maps, like when they brought back Hammerhead Bridge, I was so hyped with that one. That still to this day from Splatoon 1 is my favorite map from the entire series.
Yep.
But like the way that they did it in Splatoon 3, like it's so much narrower. Like there's really no way to get around the enemy team without having to face them. Which I mean is good, like competitively speaking, but then just like I don't know, I kind of like having those other avenues.
Yeah.
What one good thing though, I'll just bounce back one last thing, just really good about Splatoon 3. They really improved on Salmon Run. Salmon Run is so much fun. Like with the egg throwing mechanics, some of the new bosses are great. I still haven't gotten to like the higher levels with Salmon Run. I hear it gets really intense with some of the new bosses in the game, but yeah, no, like it's just such a blast to play with like some of the new mechanics, like with the just again with the egg throwing, being able to just like bring back your teammates from time to time. So it's the same thing from the other games, but it's a lot of fun. And then my other favorite game of 2022, debatably my favorite one of the year, I gotta say, is Overwatch 2. And no, I'm joking. It's not. Even though I do like that game. Just I gotta go. Wait. Oh, dang it! I had a meme going on here. Just. Okay, but that actually goes over into my actual other favorite game of the year, Trombone Champ, which is something that I don't think anybody's mentioned yet tonight, but that game is such a treat, and just like I know that like a lot of people just see it as a meme, which it kind of is, but just like so many of the songs are just like really charming. Like some of the comedy in there is just really like it's really like kind of like goofy, just fun, just like it's really random with like some of the humor, and just the fact that like people have like shown so much interest and support in this game to like put in so many different custom songs has just been amazing. That's been like the only major gripe that I've had with the game, is that just that I feel like it could use some more songs in there. But yeah, no, just the whole community has just been like really going out of their way to add so many amazing songs to play this game with, and just like I've seen like so many of the YouTube videos. Wasn't the sound just? Yeah, no, that's the reason why I did it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, just like so many of the different songs, like Through the Fire and the Flames, you have Toxic from Britney Spears, you have Dolphin Shoals from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so many amazing songs that you could like play on Trombone Champ, and just like it's the kind of game that I feel like I'll have a lot of fun playing, like going into next year and beyond. And just I just real quick, since I did joke on Overwatch 2, it's a decent game, but just like unfortunately kind of like a turn in the wrong direction with like some of the just the way that they've been trying to kind of like raise money for the game, just like overcharging for cosmetics and stuff like that. Like a lot of the stuff has just kind of been a turn off, but I'm still happy to play the game with friends if anybody ever wants to.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my games for 2022.
All right. I was never really into Overwatch, so Overwatch 2 really just didn't do it for me.
That's fair.
But those are some really good picks. Once again, Maple, I appreciate like you coming through as always. Like, in regards to the show, I'll have you on again for future episodes. So thank you as always.
Yeah, no, seriously, looking forward to it. Just like for everybody here, like thank you guys so much for like all your ideas with like your favorite games, and just if I don't see you guys at any point real soon, just you guys have a happy New Year.
Yep. All right. So, the next person that I'm going to have on here, is going to be Mantle. Mantle, you're up.
As soon as it loads, there we go.
There we go. All right, cool. So, Mantle, it's good to have you on. Like you've been on once before. Like with Zen's Path, you were also on here for the Nintendo Power episode.
Yep, that was a very, very, very fun time, and it was awesome to be here for that. And I look forward to. I mean, it's always great to hang out with you, like whether on either of our channels or any of our friends. I look forward to any future content you've got, friend.
Hey, no problem. Just happy to have you on as always.
Happy to be on.
So, before we get started, like, talk about what type of content you do.
Well, hi everyone. I am Mantle. I am a marine biologist, and I'm a gamer. Lifelong gamer, as with many of you here. Do usually describe myself as a variety / Zelda streamer. I mean, there's people say I'm a Zelda fan for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as like consoles, I usually describe myself as like 70% Nintendo, 30% PlayStation. I did actually just make very adult decisions after the holiday and did finally get myself a PS5. So that'll be fun. We'll appear on there at some point. But yeah, I am a marine biologist. So like really on my channel, I call it, my community is the Sharkade. So yeah, the biggest thing there is like combining like science and learning as well as just adventuring in video games. The idea is like, hey, we're all hanging out at my place on my couch and I'm sharing a game that happens to be going on while we're just chilling. So like if you want to vibe, there's that vibes. But yeah, a lot of variety. I play a ton of retro stuff. But also we'll jump into like some random games as I'm feeling. Like just the whole thing is like, hey, many times it's a replay, sometimes it's, I've been wanting to play this for a while. Let's use stream accountability to get it done and just try to share that good adventure there. I'm actually currently doing a replay of the Phoenix Wright original trilogy with one of my best friends. She and I are also both voice actors, so she and I are voicing the entire series together.
Yeah.
She has never played them before, so for me it's fun to get to replay, and it's also fun for her both to flex her vocal muscles, same as me, but also to see her reactions. And also just got some fun games coming up in the year. It's as with many of you, it's been quite a rough year for me. I had to step my schedule back some, but still got some good games in and have a lot of more fun content coming in the coming year.
Okay, no problem. So let's talk about the games. Yes. Best games of 2022. What you got?
Best games of 2022. I do. When you mentioned 3, I was mentioning this to some of you in the chat earlier. I did have 3 best games of the year, but mine actually, I hate to admit, it comes with a caveat. Of the 3 games which are absolutely my top 3 games of the year, I've only really got to spend a lot of time playing one of them. The other 2 I've only got to delve into a little bit, but from what I know of them, as well as what I've played, I'm still confident where they land in there. Hilariously enough, though, for those who don't know, again, when Shellshock was first pitching the idea, he was like, hey, you can have up to 3 games. He mentions 3 games. I instantly knew what it was, and all 3 of them happen to be third in their series.
Yep.
The number 3 one for me, I actually just got as a Christmas present from a dear friend of mine. Bayonetta 3. I was a huge fan of Bayonetta 1 and 2. I actually replayed Bayonetta 2 earlier this year. And I know we touched on a little bit earlier, there was the quasi-controversy. It turned out to be a different controversy, which was a non-controversy with the previous issue. But
yep.
I'm excited as heck. Again, still super early in it because I was out of town for the holiday, but with everything they've been building up in it, just continuing the over-the-topness, it's so good. But since that was covered a bit more, not going to spend as much time on that. My second game of the year, I'm a little embarrassed again. I've only got to play some of it, but without getting too into it, this year had a lot of good things for me, but on the whole, it sucked. And my number 2 game came out right after the worst suckage of this year hit me. And while I love awesome, really immersive JRPGs, that's a lot to dive into.
Yeah.
My absolute my second. I mean, you were one of the friends who helped me through that time, but the
Yes.
my second favorite game of this year, which I do still need to complete, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm a massive Xenoblade fan. It is my 4th favorite series of all time. I love all the previous entries. In fact, many of my emotes you find are actually based off of my Xenoblade Chronicles X character, which that's to me that's the weakest of the series, but it's still amazing. So, but yeah, no, Xenoblade 3, I am still extremely early in, but love the daylights out of it. Obviously, I'll be posting once I have completed it. I'm playing that one offline though, because for some games like that, I just full on. You know how that is.
Yeah.
But absolutely, hands down, not a surprise to anyone who knows me well. My favorite game of 2022, one that I've sunk nearly 500 hours in already, and my hat is a dead giveaway, is Splatoon 3.
Yes.
For those who don't know, my nickname on Twitch is Mantle Ferox. The reason behind that is that's actually one of my Splatoon characters. I have been massively into Splatoon since the first game. Sunk over 1,800 hours in the first game, over 2,400 in Splatoon 2, and nearly 500 to 3 already. And none of that is a flex. That's just saying I really love this series. I'm headed up to MagFest next weekend. Ooh. And I'm one of the coordinators, and I'm the host of the Splatoon photo shoot that we've been having since 2016.
Nice.
So that's quite fun. I do cosplay as my Inkling. I know some of you see my emotes of him as well as my icon for him. I have a new costume that's coming up this year. All I can say is AA. I am a massive Splatoon fan. But for me, I know Splatoon has been covered a little bit already. I'm very happy that so many people are mentioning whether it's their favorite game of the year or not. Splatoon to me is incredibly special because aside from like stuff that I enjoy of the series, outside of it, because like again, my best friend and I, she and I actually crafted our own characters and made our own world. But even with just that in the game, I've often described it as the online multiplayer. No, it's not 3 weeks straight. No. The game's been sorry, Caitlin. No, the game's been out for 3.5 months. But yeah, 500 hours. Oh, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. I really love Splatoon. No, the world building is amazing, and my best friend and I have really. Yeah, no, I realize what you're saying now. For me, it's just like, oh yeah. I get really into my games, and I tend to just. I can sit there for hours on end and play it. But the nice thing with the daily stuff, as many of you have been playing, something like your daily bonus, regardless of the shop refresh, as well as the daily win bonus. It inspires me to just chip away at it, even if I'm having a rough week or something. But for me, I've always described Splatoon, all 3 of them, as the online multiplayer for people who hate online multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge online multiplayer fan. Like for example, I respect the hell out of MMOs. I have no interest in them.
Nope.
I know Shellshock, that one of the best things about Splatoon is that the matches are nice and short.
Yes.
So if you want to sit for hours at a time, like I do at times, you totally can. If you want to do a couple quick matches, you're literally done with that.
3 minutes a match for Turf War. 5 minutes if you want to do ranked.
Exactly. And it's just a nice little thing for that. For example, the other week, again, I'll an example. Last week, I was in a terrible headspace. I still love Splatoon, though. I was still able to get at least a couple matches, and I didn't feel like I had to dedicate a lot of time to it.
Yeah.
But I know it was touched on already by a few of our friends. The story mode was fantastic. I dove hard. The thing a lot of people don't realize about the Splatoon series is that Splatoon actually has a crap ton of lore. There's a lot of lore. I mean, the game takes place 12,000 years in our future. They described that very early on in the first game, and they just continue to expand on that in the second game, regardless of the DLC, as well as in the third game, and they just wrap it up all nice. And now, but even though I'm a lore fiend, I have friends who are on competitive teams. I'm actually an honorary member of a competitive team, and I have a couple friends who they've never touched the story mode. I'm just looking at them like, you're missing a good chunk of the game. How can you do that?
Yeah.
But while I know all of us will look at them like they're daft, at the same time, they still have what they want to enjoy in the game.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Pardon me.
It's okay.
Even though I'll be honest, I still prefer Inkopolis as a city. I do enjoy the new expansion we have across the bridge now in the Splatlands and Splatsville.
The Splatlands, Splatsville, yeah.
Yeah, and going back to my introduction, everyone, remember, I'm a gamer. I am a marine biologist. I live this game. I'm the person who's like, ha, I get that reference. Like, the first game, as well as now we have Museum d'Alfonsina back. I think I was the only person in my friend circle who knew what an Alfonsino was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful, because there's that. For those who don't know, Alfonsino is a very large, red, large-eyed deep-sea fish. They look pretty cool. But, so for me, I've got video games as well as literally my life. Because for me, marine biology is not just a career. It's as much a part of me as carbon is. And I mean, I take care of animals at the aquarium right now. I'm helping my manager. We design and build new tanks, which is phenomenal for building my own resume on that. But no, the game, the sheer amount of modes. Going back to what I said, it's the online multiplayer for people who hate online multiplayer. Another thing I love about Splatoon is no matter your skill level, your interest level, your time investment, or whatever your own personal interest or what you want to put into the game, there is something for everyone. Again, I have competitive friends who spend more time on the game than I do. There's plenty for them. I am not a competitive player. I feel I could be, but there's too many other games I want to play. Also, I care too much. I'd like to think I'm damn good. I mean, I got my S pluses. I was X in the previous game. Random in chat here can tell you I'm incredibly hard on myself, and I expect a lot of myself in the game, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I know where my strengths are, and I still find fun in that. And sometimes I'll just sit back and shows like, nah, I just want to go easy right now. And I like challenging myself, but still having fun. That's the biggest thing with it, really. And then for people who like are really into it, but don't want to get too into the ranked modes, I have a lot of friends who do this. They mostly love Turf War and Salmon Run.
All right.
That's awesome. They enjoy that. And I have plenty of friends who are just super casual. That's awesome. Again, no matter how competitive or casual you are, there's literally so much content in that game for you, and you can figure out just a few pieces of gear you want to get. But to me, while I have loved something about all three of the Splatoon games, this one to me is not only bringing the best of the series yet, it brings back a lot that the first game had that I feel the second missed. Now, that's not to say the second game didn't have its own charm, but especially if any of you played all three games same as I have, the second game was great. It was amazing, and it did improve on a lot from the first. But there was just some levels of charm that the first game had. One, because it was Nintendo's newest IP at the time, and two, it's different aspects about it as well as the world. Like, for example, Inkopolis Plaza was bigger than Inkopolis Square, and some of the customization from there. They breathed that back in, and to me, this game... Oh, no, same epic. I absolutely still get back to Splatoon Run from time to time, even just to, like, run around in the plaza. It was a breath of fresh air into the game that we did kind of need, and mostly that we wanted. Some of the customization options, like the locker. I've been wanting a custom apartment for my Inkling ever since I saw the gamepad loading screen. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I wish we had the custom apartments, but am I upset that we don't?
No.
Would I be upset if we didn't have the lockers? No. I love the lockers, though. I've customized the hell out of them. I actually need to update it, but...
I need to update mine, too.
Yeah, it's really funny, though, because, like, one of my good friends who I met thanks to Splatoon, because that's another reason the game is super special to me, because there's many friends I have met because of the game, and then many friendships I have furthered because of the game. Like, even some of my real-life friends, I was already close with them. I got them into the game.
Yep.
And our friendship just, like, I'm sure every single one of us are like, oh, we're close. Whoa, why are we closer now? What happened?
It happens. It just happens.
Exactly. It was really funny because, again, one of my online friends, he checked out my locker because we hadn't got to chat in a while because we were just so involved in our own stuff. He's like, yeah, this locker's very mantle. I love how I can tell this is yours without your name. He's like, he knows I'm a roller main. He knows my video game interest. And he was able to chat. Ben, take care.
Take care, Ben.
But yeah, no, it is Yeah, I keep seeing some of those videos too that Dragon's mentioned about Splatoon 1 in 2022. Curiously enough, I actually played some Splatoon 1, like several matches a couple years ago. I had no trouble finding a match.
Yep.
But the Tricolor Turf War, I know that they definitely improved it last Splatfest, and I know that they're looking to improve it again. I feel that some of the unique ways that they're doing, like with the Sheldon licenses for the weapons, only for the first while, only having one weapon of each main set out for a while. I'm a Crack-On Splat Roller main from the first 2 games, so I love the regular Splat Roller, but I'm waiting to see what my Crack-On has.
Yes.
Whenever we get it. But again, just I could go on and on and on and on, and I apologize for any rambling, but
it's fine.
I hope my enthusiasm here just shows how much this series means to me and how much fun it is. And I know most every single one of us here has at least dabbled in it. If for whatever reason you're in this chat and have not, you owe it to yourself to check out Splatoon 3. And one of the other things that I think all of us can agree on is each of the Splatoon games, and 3 just heightens on that. They are super great about not only catering to people who've been there since the first game, but also if you only played one of the previous ones, as well as to brand new players.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily go back and look at the lore, but like for example, again, that friend who's doing the Ace Attorney playthrough with me, her eldest kid, they never got around to playing the first 2 games. They were too young, but they got Splatoon 3, and they're diving in like they've not missed a beat. And I've flat said, hey, let me know if you ever want to know any lore or anything. But they're able to dive right in, and it is so great. It is so great.
Yeah. So those were the games that you picked for 2022.
Yes, I was offered 3 games, and just to recap, everyone, my top 3 games of this year are Splatoon 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Bayonetta 3.
Very good choices. All right, thank you once again for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, and again, always happy to hang out here as well as anywhere else, and look forward to some more fun times in the coming year. And here's to a much better 2023 for us.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So we got 3 people left. So the next person that is going to join us for the show is going to be Zykrul. Zykrul, you are up. Zykrul, you there?
I'm here.
All right. What's up?
All
right.
Well,
So
how you doing?
Doing good. So you've been on the show once before with the RPG episode.
Yep.
So, first and foremost, you're still planning to stream soon, right?
I would like to, yes.
Yeah. Hopefully next year will be that year.
Yes.
All right. So, in the meantime, let's talk about the 3 games of 2022,
sure.
The best ones.
The 3 I have, and also before I get into that again, because I want to continue with what Maple said, is with Valheim and revising. Even though one came out in 2022, one didn't. There was still a lot of fun to play with Mike, Silva, Kalkos.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. But for my top 3, I didn't really play many 2022 games, to be honest. Like, right now, I just got into Sonic. Good game, but I haven't beaten it to say if it's my top 3 or not.
Yeah.
Same thing with Stray. It's another good one, but I've just started that one as well.
Yeah.
The only 3 that I know when I looked over that I played and completed, my 3rd one would be Kirby in the Forgotten
Forgotten Land. Yeah.
It's a Kirby game. You really can't go wrong with Kirby. And the story is still is just as good and sweet as past Kirby games. I did like the new power ups, or at least to me, from the ones I played, the new power up system. They included to upgrade your abilities. Thought that was a nice touch to that. I really like the environment's so good. Having it being the first for this say 3D in a way. It really felt a lot different than compared to like the side-scrolling Kirby's you played. I hope we do see more of that.
Yeah, same here. I would like to see more of 3D Kirby with the way that they presented everything. I thought it was good.
Yeah. My second one is Shredder's Revenge.
Yes.
That one was a lot of fun and a lot of nice callbacks to the characters and the series as a whole. And the combat is just so smooth.
Yes.
That and fluid. It's some of the bosses feel like that it can be toned down, but it's definitely one that I had a lot of fun with you, Matt, Mike, Epic. Yeah, we played with so many people this year with it.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a lot of fun with that one. But my number one that I played, and I still need to play because I haven't played the DLC yet, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yes.
I have over 400 hours on that, and then I know it's going to hit 500 at some point when all the DLC comes out. The story alone is great. It just hits the right beats. The music, the characters, the gameplay gets the fighting is a little to get used to, but it's still a lot of fun how they mix the two previous combat systems from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 together, and honestly, it works well. You'd think that it wouldn't, the way how both of them differ from each other, but they managed to make them both work side by side. It's still slow in some parts, but it's not like it's a drag.
Yeah.
I really can't wait for the DLC on that one. It's just so good. They just know. And one of the things I liked about it, what I wish a lot more games would do, is they just foreshadow a lot in the music, and you don't really, for me, like you don't really see that a lot. You see that in what people say and hint at, but it's just like without spoiling, there's one moment with a character they change the music that you don't really know. You just think it's just music. But then when you play through and realize what's going on, you notice that the music was for for a different character change, and it's like holy crap. But yeah, I would definitely. Those were the only three. Sadly, I played a lot of games, but sadly not a lot of 2022 games.
That's fine.
But those are my two. But yeah, no, it was really great being on your and then thank you for letting me have me on your RPG show, because that was a lot of fun talking with Matt and Shad.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. It's good to have you on here. And hope to have you on in the future, dude.
Hopefully, yeah. So, and thank you for having me again tonight.
Hey, no problem. You take care.
You as well. Bye bye.
All right, bye. All right. So next up is going to be so the next person that's going to be up for talking is going to be Epic Man. So Epic Man, you are up.
Huh?
Hi.
Is this me?
Yes, it is you, Epic Man.
Oh my god, I can't believe it's been 500 years since I've been in this. I've been waiting forever.
Yes, how you doing, Epic Man?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with you again on the podcast. Since last time I was on the car racing with Mike and Maple. It was a great time, honestly.
Oh yeah, totally. So before we get started, what type of content do you do?
All right, let's get into that business. So yeah, this is the Epic Man speaking here, guys. What I do on Twitch, I do. I've done a lot of Splatoon here and there, but I do a lot of Nintendo. I do PlayStation, PC. Mainly, I just do like variety like most people here have done. But yeah, but I do like to do Splatoon from time to time. But I am not currently because I haven't been streaming in a while before. But I am gonna plan on coming back next year because I really want to focus on that. While I am also focusing on some personal stuff like getting a job and whatnot. So I am going to try my best to get on top of that when I can.
Okay, sure. All right. So let's talk about the best games of 2022. What you got?
All right, so I do want to mention that I have some honorable mentions. With one of them being a game that didn't come out this year, but I do really want to specify about it because it's a game that I been wanting to try it for so long, and it was a blast to play through. So, but let me go for this one other game, and that is something that I haven't fully played. I only borrowed my cousin's copy of it when I was in DR, and that is Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Nice.
I've been playing it in World 1 and 2. I love the game so far from what I've done. It is something that I've been wondering, when are we ever going to get a truly 3D Kirby game other than that one knockoff that they did on the 3DS, the Blowout game. It's been a long time coming. I love Kirby. I played the Kirby games since I did play the Kirby games on on SNES, and I also played one on N64, and I play a lot on the DS, Squeak Squad, and I forgot the other ones, but I play a lot of Kirby games, and Forgotten Land has been something that I've been always wanting to try out, and I've loved everything so far. The control feels really good. Everything's a snap. Everything is just so colorful, beautiful. The world itself is amazing. Like you just wish you could just walk around there all the time because it is something you just feel like you could just get in there and just feel it, and of course the music is great, the copy abilities are great, new old ones, and in the 3D landscape, and it works like really well in my opinion.
It does.
And even the big mouthful mode, it is so bizarre that we needed something so crazy for a Kirby game to go like that, because that's what they've been always going for each of the titles, just going bonkers with Kirby, and they deliver it gratefully. So
they did,
I like
yes.
that game. And so there's one other honorable mention I want to go for, and I really want to try this so far because I've been a Call of Duty fan since back in World at War, and I never tried this other series because I was never an Xbox guy. I was always a PlayStation guy. So I've always wanted to see and how it feels to be into the Halo franchise.
Yeah.
I've tried out the Halo Master Chief Collection. The game came out in 2014 on the Xbox first, and then later on they went to put it on Steam, which I bought because Maple and Matt, they've done their sessions on Steam on the stream, so that way they can play with people. Wants to play multiplayer, and I've always wanted to try the game itself, but I never played the campaign because that's always been my number one thing to do. Is just play the campaign, and I was never let down. Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, and 4. I love them all. 4, I understand 4 being a mixed bag because it's 343 while the other games are Bungie's. I am so fond about what they do with the characters, with the Chief, Cortana, Sergeant Johnson, who is probably one of my favorite side characters because he is such a badass who doesn't give a crap about danger. He is a badass mother effer guy out there that just says "fuck you" to danger. I love him, but Master Chief, he is the guy that you just want to see him because he is the one that is to save humanity from all the covenants. But I will say my favorite has to be Halo 2 because my god, that is just amazing. I just love everything about it. So yes, those are my honorable mentions. So let's get to the actual top 3. Number 3. So I'm surprised nobody has mentioned this because I understand that this one was a bit difficult. It's really difficult. I understand that. Came out in June 30th, 2022, and it's really amazing how much they can just put more into it. and I loved it. I loved everything about it, and that is Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course. Oh boy. I really like this DLC so much. I've been playing it a lot when it was out. I played it on the Switch. I bought it again on PC. I just love the challenge. It's basically more of what you love about Cuphead, but they do give you a new character to play as, and that is Miss Chalice. Miss Chalice as a new character, I welcome her wholeheartedly. I just think that she is a really good addition. She has her cons, she has her pros, and that is she has a double jump. She can't parry. She can only parry if she can dash. But she can also do a dodge roll, which can be for use if you want to just phase through objects, just like a little invincibility time limit there. And yeah, because she is pretty much one of my favorite characters I can go with for this new DLC. And you can play as her in the original Cuphead campaign, which is really nice because it just gives you another way of just playing the game just as Miss Chalice. So
yeah,
I will say the bosses in the Delicious Last Course are phenomenal. My favorite would have to be maybe the dog fight boss where you had to sit on the plane and you had to steer the plane while avoiding all the obstacles that they throw at you. And I will say the best part about it was when they try to fool your control when the screen just turned to 90 degrees to whatever side they try to mess you up with the controls, and it is just amazing how much they just fool you to think that this is going to be a normal boss playthrough. It is not. It is just going one up on how they just want to f you up with your mind about how you play the game. So
yeah,
it is really good. If you like a challenge, you just want to see more colorful, cartoony style of gameplay, old 90s cartoon, you could go for this DLC. It's really good. I really recommend Delicious Last Course. It's basically more Cuphead, but just more charm, more flavor, more of everything about what you love about Cuphead. So that's what I like about that. So number 2, it's something that everyone always says before I got the chance to talk about it, but I really want to have my stance about some things, but it's going to be the same things, and that is Splatoon 3.
Yes.
I can't say enough that I am a wholeheartedly big fan of Splatoon. I've been playing the series since Splatoon 1 and then 2, and then I've actually bought the mangas. I love reading them, and I've always hopefully Nintendo or whoever out there would actually make an official Splatoon anime one day, because that would be amazing, because I would love to see how they would do with it. So that Splatoon 3, I never expected this to happen. No, I don't think anybody did. We never thought that we're going to have a new entry of a Splatoon franchise to be in the same console, because we already just have Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Already. And that is just insane. I never thought they actually go for it.
And they did it.
They freaking did it. And I am just applaud. I bow down to Mr. Nintendo to give me more Splatoon. Like, please, more Splatoon, give me more Splatoon. And they just did. With more content, more weapons, new ones, old ones, everything they just do, but in the chaotic style. Because after what happened in the last Splatfest in Splatoon 2 with Chaos versus Order, I was in Team Chaos because I am that kind of person. Just like to be a chaotic, aggressive player, just to go whatever you want, Mad Max style, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chaos won, and the story and everything else has turned into that style where you're in the Splatsville in a desert, not really, but it's like you're in the middle of a deserty area where this is where another place where the squids and octos are hanging out, and it is amazing. The hub world is phenomenal. It is bigger than Inkopolis Plaza, Inkopolis Square combined, I guess, because they feel like they just doubled the size of it, where you can go everywhere and see where other octos and squids are doing, and just seeing all the little details when you zoom into stuff like boxes and just the stores and everything, and seeing the new idols, which I'll say in a second. It is amazing to look into. I am appalled. I love it. It's amazing. Story, I love the story. They honestly one up themselves. I would agree that they one up themselves for how the scale have they done than Splatoon 2 and 1. Even though Splatoon 2 campaign is basically a rehash in a way of 1, but but anyway, but 3 just did so much more, especially bringing in Callie and Marie back into, with the new Squid Beak Splatoon, and you have the captain who is actually replaced with your agent, who is actually the one from Splatoon 1.
No.
He is not the captain. You can make him as male or female. That's your choice. And yeah, and the new additions of the characters, Deep Cut, Fry, and Shiver, and the big man himself, Big Man.
Yes.
Big Man, oh my god, he's hilarious. I love Big Man.
Ayy.
Like
Ayy.
he is so fun. But out of all three of them, I mean, I like Octolings. I do go for Shiver. Fry is cool too, but even with Big Man, his comedic moments are just hilarious. He always makes me smile with his goofy smile.
Yes.
He's just adorable. So I can't just get enough of him. But man, shout outs to the Big Man sweep that happened in the last
Big Man sweep. Big Man sweep.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, yeah.
But yeah, story wise, great. Multiplayer, I will say it is, well, as you expected, same old Splatoon, turf war, rank battles. Some new additions about it with being you can play rank battles with open or series, and but the best thing about with multiplayer is that I am so glad that they actually listen to us. They freaking make us group up with friends so that way we can get in there no matter what. We'll be together forever.
Yes.
That is the best thing about that I love for Splatoon 3. It is amazing. I love it. It is they just really do it. And you can even wait in the training session while we try to get into a match. It's just amazing. Just to practice. It really feels good.
Yeah, you kind of cut off for a second. You said you were waiting you wait while in the training session.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, waiting the training session to get into a match is honestly the best thing I would say for what they did with Splatoon 3. Although I wish they would have let us have a way with just playing like those little arcade games that you did in Splatoon 1 on your gamepad.
That would have been very nice.
I would have loved that wholeheartedly. The Squid Race, the Squid Jump, all that. And even new ones that they would have put in, that would be great too.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great. And then there is Salmon Run. I want to say some things about Salmon Run. First thing, I love it. It is a great improvement. It is now 24/7. No schedule. You know there is some, but it's just 24/7. You can play. There's no downtime. Everyone can come in. It is amazing.
But there's a lot of chaos now in the Salmon Run.
Yes, and that's the one thing I want to say is that is a. I want to say I don't want to say it's like a bad thing because I love the challenge that they brought in. Although there are some BS moments that I would say where when the game gets too chaotic, there is going to be some moments where it feels like it was unfair because they brought in so many bosses at once. When you go up to executive, the top level of the rankings, you are going to have to prepare yourself, hope that your team, even as randos or your friends, hope that you guys can prepare yourselves. Even with whatever weapons loadout they give you, prepare. Everyone is gonna die a lot. There are too many salmons. Bosses come out of nowhere, and it just feels like it could get annoyingly frustrating. But I'm just gonna say it's fun. Even if I don't go all the way up to the top rank, like level 99.9 whatever, it's fine. I don't mind not getting up there because I'm not much of a competitive guy. Even though I like a lot of playing of turf war, I just think that being a casual guy and love the Splatoon lore that much is just enough for me to love this game all over again.
Right.
It is so good. That's what I love about Splatoon 3. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
I love the lore. I want to know more in the next one. Anyway, last one. and I'll try to keep this brief. It is my game of the year. I love this. I play it so much, and I'm gonna. Well, I would say maybe I would copy Silver's homework because he already mentioned this in his time, and that is Neon White.
I knew it would be Neon White. Actually, I had a feeling it was going to be Neon White.
Indeed, because
Yeah.
I just can't help it. I love the game. It's so fun. It's so smooth, and just everything about it. It feels right at home for me because I'm a fan of seeing people doing speed runs. I like seeing speedrun games, speedrun competitiveness. I like seeing them in all over the place. I just like doing them. Even though I don't do a lot, but I do love doing them.
Yeah.
Neon White brought a lot from just seeing how the people trying to make this game about you running through heaven, killing demons, and then getting to the end as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The art style did give me some vibes of Killer 7 in a way because of all the polygons and everything in some parts, but in itself, it's really good for its soundtrack, the art designs, the story, and just everything about it. I will say that in the dialogues with the characters, you have Neon White, Neon Red, Violet, Yellow, and Mikey, and all the other characters you meet. They do tend to have their moments where it does kind of feel cringy because it is something that feels like it's more for teenagers in a way, but it just I don't know because I kind of gotten used to the things like that where I watch content where it is trying to be edgy, quote unquote, but they try to make it serious, even though they just like trying to have a laugh out of it. But it's honestly something I love about because the characters they want to figure out about the whole deal with heaven and all the believers and all these characters that they met. It is just fascinating to see through. But the most important thing about the game is just the gameplay itself because it is really the best thing about it.
Oh yeah.
All the things about it because it makes you want to get better at it. Even if you're not a speedrunner type of person, this game can teach you a lot of things about it. Like it'll teach you the basic things where you just jump, you get cards, and throughout the levels, you use these cards, and they have their own abilities. With the gun, you have a jump. The sniper gives you a dash. The machine gun, it gives you a bomb that you can either jump out of or you can just destroy debris, and so many more. They give you a plethora of cards throughout the game, and they make you think fast, so that way you can just redo over and over. If you mess up, there's a reset button. You can always try again, and it's easy as it is, but you can just beat the game as slow as possible if you want. That's fine. You can just do tricks and stunts to see how fast you can go. That's cool. But the best thing is that you just want to feel the adrenaline of you becoming a speed demon to go and kill demons to get them out of heaven. So that way you can just save heaven. And so that's really the cool thing about it because I love speedrunning games. I love playing Mario games that will make you think about how you can speed run through a level in the lowest time possible. Because I've done that a lot with mainly the new Super Mario Bros. Games. I love just running through the level, seeing how much I can deal with, just getting by, going through obstacles in the best way possible. And that's what got me into more about speedrunning games. It's because of Mario.
Yep.
And I never stopped doing them for games that doesn't feel like you should speedrun, but it encourages you to be a speedrunning demon.
Yep.
So that is gonna be that reason why I love Neon White. All these 3 games.
Okay.
I love these games.
All right, that's good. Those are some really good picks that you have.
Oh yes. But before I go, I want to have a brief mention about some of the games that I am looking forward to 2023. Is that okay to say about that?
Yeah, but I'd say make it quick because I do want to bring in the next person.
It will be quick. For one, I am excited for the Dead Space remake. It's gonna be amazing. I am very looking forward to it. Atomic Heart, That game is going to be amazing. It's kind of like a Bioshock kind of game, but it does have Mick Gordon doing the music, so that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 remake, crazy. Dead Island 2, and then Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
That game is going to be the biggest game of the year. Let's see about that.
All right.
Oh my god! But yeah, those are my anticipation for that. My top 3 games of 2022. I am so happy I'm here with you, Shell, and everyone that came through that shared their thoughts.
Yep.
You guys are amazing, and I'm happy.
Hey, thanks for coming in, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. I am very happy. Thank you.
You're welcome. We got one more. We got one more person to do. So Zeno, you are up. Zeno, are you there?
What's up? Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes,
I didn't think I was gonna make it, but
yeah, I'm glad you're here, dude. Yeah, no problem. All right, so welcome. So we're going to be talking about the best games of 2022. But first, what type of content do you do?
Well, I definitely do Overwatch content as well as retro gaming. Go through several old school games, fighting, PlayStation 1, whatever we could be able to get our hands on. Which, by the way, as of 2020, well, I'm going to say 2023, the PS4, Xbox One are retro. So there we go. It's true. Look it up. I've gone to a retros gaming store and they're selling PS4s. So there you go.
Yep.
But yeah, and there's gonna be a lot. I also do charity streaming. Of course, traditional Valentine's Day event is gonna happen, and soon couch co-op gaming. Just gather a couple of friends, bring back that sweet nature of couch co-op gaming. Whether it's gonna be 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, or we're just gonna try to beat one single game.
Yeah.
That's the type of content I do, man.
Okay, sure. Sounds good. All right. So let's talk about the best games of 2022. What you got?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because I would not put Overwatch 2 in it, even though that's definitely the game that I usually play a lot. And it's actually something that I actually joined in with a lot of communities. So if it's Pugs Night or if it's community night with what he would call the Drama Club or the Rats, that's something I always enjoy playing, but not really the best. Surprisingly enough, I think one of the best ones is the Capcom Fighting Collection.
Okay.
It's funny because I actually got a list down, and I didn't play much of Capcom Fighting Collection, but going through all of the best hidden gems, that's something that I always look for. It's something that's just so thrilling. I got it because several of these games I so want to play, never got a chance to. Darkstalkers only played in arcade.
Yeah.
I believe there was Pocket Fighters, never got a chance to.
Yeah,
do
Pocket
that.
Fighter.
Yes. Red Earth, seen it so many freaking times, and never have I gotten the chance to be able to try that out. Now we got that as part of the collection. Even Cyberbots.
Cyberbots was a great one too.
Yeah, I've seen people play it, and I've done a couple of trials on my way from events while I'm on trains and such. Get used to how the game is. So that's something I've actually looked forward to do in the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a good thing.
I would say has to be Pokemon. No, actually, that is like an honorable mention, so to say. Pokemon Legend of Arceus.
Well, that's a good game too.
Yes, definitely. But I try to be able to focus on games that I usually play on public transportation. Kirby is definitely one of them.
Kirby, yes.
What's to say about Kirby? I think that game is quite fun. It is something that we needed as a Kirby game. I haven't played Kirby since the Super Nintendo, and there was definitely Kirby 64.
It was 64, but it was more like a 2.5D game.
2.5D game. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was full-fledged 3D. This is what would be the next evolution of Kirby games.
Yes, it is.
And being able to upgrade your weapons, being able to test out several weapons, and the trials are actually quite extraordinary. Like, you could just pretty much be a completionist and try to go 100% on that. And it's so amazing how fun Kirby is. Yeah, I've pretty much basically finished that game and just tossed it over to my sister. She played Kirby with me when we were kids. I'm pretty sure she enjoyed Kirby and was like, you know what? To spread the joy. It's like what I did with the Link's Awakening on Switch.
Yes.
Yeah, but definitely what everyone has said. Splatoon 3. Oh, geez. I think I missed my opportunity with Splatoon 2. I definitely missed it with Splatoon 1 because it was a Nintendo Wii U.
It was a Wii U. It was like a later Wii U game that ended up being a surprise hit.
Oh, I knew it was going to be a hit.
But 2 basically like twice the amount, so more than twice the amount that the first one did.
Yeah, but I knew Splatoon was going to be a major hit. Here's the funny thing. If you have a family-friendly game winning Shooting Game of the Year over the most well-known, popular, violent, ultra-adult, middle-finger game called Call of Duty, yeah, you basically have the future franchise of shooting games, okay?
It's really good.
And I just knew it was going to be good. But never got a chance with Splatoon 2. I purchased it late, but I did the story. And when Splatoon 3 was announced, I was hyped. I was excited. The new weapons. A salmon mode was in Splatoon 2, but I really didn't have anybody to be able to enjoy it. So see Salmon run in Splatoon 3 was like, oh my goodness, this is the horde. This is what we need.
It's everything great about the second one, but even more.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. I've never really done. What was it? Splatfest.
Oh, Splatfest.
Well,
there's one.
Like, well, I got to do it right now.
Well, there's one coming up next week. Spicy versus sweet versus sour.
Wait, what?
Spicy versus sweet versus sour. That's the next Splatfest.
Move it along. Move it along. You're breaking my head, my man. You're breaking my head, my man. Yeah. So I'm gonna be pretty straightforward. I haven't really played much of Splatoon 3. I gotta get back into it. I'm sorry for Overwatch 2 or so much content and such, plus my own streaming and also game design too. So that's also gonna be in the future.
Yes.
But I was actually a little surprised personally to play a lot more Splatoon 3. The online, not only for casual players, but also the ranking was something new to me. It was something interesting.
Yes.
So, because I've seen several players have their ranking, and it's like, oh, it's just going to be, whoever inked the most is going to win. No, it's actually different game modes, and some you're going to like, others you're not. The maps has been pretty mixed, in my opinion. Some I would like, some I would not. Even the weapons. I actually like the fact that you actually try out these weapons before you get into the game mode. Get used to certain strategies and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have not heard anybody talk about the card game. Has anybody talked about the card game?
Oh, the table turf. Oh, that's actually like one of my favorite parts about the game, to be honest. Like, sure, I love the turf war, I love the rank battles and the salmon run and the single player, but the card game.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. We could play against other players, right?
Well, not online yet, but soon they're going to add that.
Nintendo, get on it!
They're working. It's going to be in the future updates. It's coming.
I'm gonna put out my trap card.
It's coming. As of this recording, it's coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming. They're still working on it. It was supposed to be out by this past update, but they delayed it because they needed more time to work on it. It's coming. But I assure you, it's coming.
I highly respect that, but definitely Fighting Capcom Collection and Kirby Adventure and Splatoon 3. Those are my top 3.
Yes.
But it's very surprising. 2022, all the games I've seen and even tried out were actually some of the most exciting years ever. DNF Duel, I've played a few times, and automatically I've already liked one of the characters. I'm telling myself, I think he's called the Hunter or something like that.
Yeah.
Mercenary.
Yeah, Mercenary. Yeah.
And yeah, I saw him. It's like, oh god, that's the guy I'm gonna cosplay as.
Yes.
That's the guy I'm gonna cosplay as. Great. He plays traps. Yeah, King of Fighters has been another amazing thing.
Yeah, King of Fighters 15.
God of War. Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, yes.
And jeez, my friend even told me, hey, what we're gonna be playing Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, Shredder's Revenge. You gotta, like, if anyone hasn't played that yet, yeah.
I'm not. And my friend is telling me on that one, it's like, you know what? That's
Do
the
it.
first game we're going to be doing it. Yeah, that's the first game. Okay, off announcement, because I'm sorry I'm doing this off of your channel.
No, don't worry about it.
But first couch co-op game that's going to happen, Shredder's Revenge.
Great game to play.
Yes. We're going to find a date on that one.
Okay. But yeah, so those are your picks?
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much again for coming in. I'll have you on in another episode at some point soon, but you take care of yourself, dude.
You too, dude.
All right. Take care. All right, so that's all the guests. So now it's my turn to talk about my best games of 2022. I'm actually going to lead the call because I've already talked long enough about all the guests. So once again, thank you all for coming through. It was great. But now it's my turn. It's absolutely my turn now. So let's talk about like what are my top games of 2022. So let me go ahead before anything. Oh no, not that one. Yeah. So let's just focus on me right now. So it's my turn. I said I was gonna go last, and I'm gonna go last. So let's talk. Okay. So best games of 2022. I got a lot of stuff. So honorable mentions for me would be this. All right. So honorable mentions for me are going to be Splatoon 3, great multiplayer, great single player campaign, absolutely incredible. And I actually had a blast with it. Single player was fantastic. Table Turf, Salmon Run, Turf War, and also Splatfest. I still got to do more rank modes. Hey, and thank you all for coming in. So there's still more. There's still a few more things I will bring up before we wrap things up. So as far as other honorable mentions go, I will say I absolutely thought that I'm actually going to put Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as an honorable mention. I know there's technical issues, but I still think there's a fantastic game in there. It's just the technical issues did bring it down. Great story, great characters, great setting, great music, great use of the Pokemon from different generations as well as the new ones, and the Paldean forms as well. The Paldean region is fantastic. I just hope that they patch a lot of stuff, and then it would be even better of a game. And another game I'm going to put on the honorable mentions is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Another fantastic game. Another game that I'm glad that I got to play. A step forward to where the series can actually go. And one more honorable mention before I go to my top 3. So the last honorable mention... Actually, I have 2 more. Multiverses, actually. Multiverses is fun. It's great. Being able to play as any character within the Warner Brothers universe in a Smash Bros. Style game, but with 2v2, I feel like that game is definitely a lot of fun to play with your friends. Teaming up, because I did one stream of it with Shad, and it was a lot of fun. And the only other honorable mention that I would actually have to give that came out this year is Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3 is incredible. Granted, the story is hit and miss, and the ending was not that great. I will not say anything because spoilers, but I still think the gameplay is at its absolute best. Presentation, the settings, the music, everything about Bayonetta 3 hits so many marks, but I do think that the story is absolutely the weakest part about the game. That's why it brings it down a bit, but otherwise it's a solid game. But now let's talk about the best 3 games of 2022 from me. So, number 3 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That game is absolutely incredible. Going through a new world with Kirby, a 3D world for Kirby. They make it feel like a 2D game, but put it in a 3D world. You have Kirby, you have all these characters that you could actually face against, all these enemies. A lot of them are mainstays. There's a few new ones, but it's mostly mainstays from the Kirby series. All the bosses that they have, very creative. Granted, challenging, yes, but very creative. They did a fantastic job making these boss battles fun, albeit a bit frustrating at times. Especially the armadillo, I've had some issues with at first, but I came around. It's actually nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually a really cool and creative boss fight. And also fighting King Dedede with his new form, he actually looks great. And then Meta Knight was actually really damn cool. And then also seeing Elfilin with you was actually a really cool character, and I hope they bring them back again real soon. The Double Frosty fight in the bridge, yes, that was actually very infamous for me. But overall, the story itself was fantastic. There's so much content, so much stuff. They did fantastic. They did a great job here. I hope that they continue on with this moving forward. Number 2 for me is, and you would think this would have been my number 1, but this is actually number 2 for me, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This game is the game of my dreams. This game is absolutely fantastic. The best game in the series. It managed to overtake Turtles in Time. I didn't think we would ever get a Turtles game that did it, but we did. .emu, fantastic job. Tribute games. You can play as the 4 Turtles. You also have Splinter, Casey Jones, and April O'Neil, all playable. 6 players though, and you have all these characters. Though Casey is a hidden character. And the game is more than twice the amount of length as Turtles in Time. Like Turtles in Time had about 9 levels, I believe, and there's 16 in this game. And you also have missions. You have a story mode. You have arcade mode, which they updated to add some more dip switches, so you can play around with it and try different things. You can play online. I've had a great online experience, though, on my first stream when I was playing with KutieKatelyn, Vash, and 112. We were praising the online, and I got disconnected. I thought that was pretty funny, but still, it's great. I have it on Switch, and I have it on Steam. I'm probably going to pick it up a physical copy at some point for Switch. But this game, to me, one of the best beat 'em ups ever made, if not the best beat 'em up ever made. I highly recommend playing TMNT. I'm gonna be playing on Saturday, but I'm gonna play the Switch version this time on Saturday, co-op. So stay tuned for that. And not only that, just that releasing with the Cowabunga collection. So I'm just throwing shout out to the Cowabunga collection of my dreams, 13 games, all at once. Turtles in Time, both versions. And then they just added online to the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time. You have Tournament Fighters. You have Manhattan Project, the Game Boy games, the Genesis games, NES, Super NES. So much stuff. Great stuff. Great time to be a Ninja Turtles fan. But number 1 for me is going to be Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers is absolutely incredible. You have so many of these big worlds. You can be able to run around, collect so many tokens, so you can see your friends' memories, dialogues, and all that. Like Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and also Sage. You also have so many other cyberspace worlds where you can go and you partake in these Sonic style, 3D Sonic style levels. You can collect the red rings. You have to get the best times and everything. Just the music in the game is phenomenal. Some of the most top-notch music in Sonic. Sure, you're used to some of the stuff from Crush 40, from Jun Sonoe and all that, but you have something completely exceptional here. Great stuff overall. I absolutely thought this was absolutely phenomenal. This was incredible. Sonic Frontiers is, without a doubt, amazing for so many reasons. The story itself, not going to get into it because of spoilers for some people that haven't actually played the game yet, but I'll say this though. It's definitely well worth it. So much deep stuff. Like, characters are not one-dimensional. You actually get more out of them. All of them. Tails, Knuckles, Amy, you get to have more out of it. I feel like, in terms of story, this feels like the finale of a certain arc, and that the next game after this will probably be the start of a brand new arc. Just play the game to find out why. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to spoil anything. But it's so good. It's so good. Are there gripes with this game? Yes, this game is not perfect, but I still think this is great. Like, the pinball game is fantastic, but it's too long, and the score that you have to get is too high. That's all I'm going to say. And also, the other thing is there's some other missions that I feel are so weird, but they do have some pretty good puzzles. There's some pretty good puzzles that you can do that make you think. You have to act really fast, and when you do, it's worth it. You're going to get, it's a risk and a reward. And the enemies, the Titan bosses, oh my god. Some of them can be very exhilarating. Like, the squid is the one everyone talks about. But there's so many other ones in general. The boss fights. Collect the Chaos Emeralds to fight, and you are so good. You are going to go at it. Overall, a great game. Fantastic. Sega actually listened to the fans. Sega actually did what they needed to do. Hopefully, this is where Sonic is on the right track. We got the movie. We got the show that just came out, Sonic Prime. We got, like, Sonic Origins coming out this year. We are going to be getting another show from the Knuckles show. We got so much stuff. The comics from IDW. So much love with Sonic. I really hope this is going to be something moving forward. Sonic get the redemption arc of Sonic. I really hope this is the redemption arc. Sega, you got something good going for you right now. Do not mess this up, please. This is so good. Sonic Frontiers, my game of the year of 2022. Best game of 2022 in my opinion. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone thinks. I played this game on Switch, and if people want to say the Switch version is not a good version, I don't know what else to tell you, because they're all very good. All versions of the game are very good. Sure, it's going to be better on like PC or like PS5 and all that, but the Switch version is really good on its own. So, don't come at me with like your Digital Foundry bullcrap and all that. Don't get me wrong, no shade to Digital Foundry itself, but don't come at me with like trying to come up to me saying like, oh, is this how you have your opinion and all that? Well, guess what? I have my opinion. This is how I feel. And if people say you have standards, I have standards. I have standards, all right. I love this game, so I love it, even on Switch. So to anyone that claims otherwise, I have one thing to say to you. Maybe you should really rethink about how you want to handle everything. But okay, sorry, that's me just going on a wild tangent. But yeah, still, I highly recommend Sonic Frontiers. Fantastic game, great game. You should definitely play the game. So with that, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thanks to every guest that has shown up. I want a special thanks to everybody. I'm going to give shout outs to every single guest. I'm going to give shout outs at the end. You will see it in a moment, but that's the end of season 1. That is absolutely the end of season 1. Season 2 will return in March, which will most likely be on the day of when daylight savings time, when we move the clocks forward. That's going to be when we return with a new look, which stay tuned for that. But thanks as always for tuning in, and I really appreciate you all coming through. Make sure to tune in this Saturday for the affiliate anniversary stream that's going to be happening this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's also going to act as the end of the year New Year's Eve bash. So as we bring into 2023. So really hope you guys can tune in for that. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check up on them. And as always, may you all have fight for lasting peace. And I'll see you guys soon. So good night, everybody.